everybody. I feel like recently I've started out too many podcasts, Michael, with just being like, hey everybody, it's time. It's time, and here's another podcast. No, not this week. This week,
my favorite of those introductions is about midway. You're like, did I do the introduction?
I don't
remember.
I don't even remember anymore. They're like, what did you have for breakfast yesterday? Breakfast yesterday? I don't remember what I said 5 minutes ago. But that's just how things go on the RageSelect podcast right here on RageSelect. I am Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
Michael, I feel like I'm in a good position this week. I got it. I was telling you before, I'm like, my bills are paid. I took a shower. Like I got the schedule done for the last week.
Jeff, are you implying you've never showered for your other podcast?
Well, okay. Listen, when you work from home, and all you fucking COVID, I get to work from home, right? Like you guys are amateur working from home. People are like, did you know when you work from home, you're around your family and you look at the same four walls, it'll drive you crazy. I'm like, man, I am past that. I have gone through that tunnel. I am out the other side.
Oh yeah, I was going through my Facebook memories. And it was like the first week of me working from home and being like, I'm going fucking insane because I haven't talked to anybody.
There was like,
I'm like, I don't want to talk to nobody now.
I've been working from home for it's 11 years of RageSelect, and then there was like 3 or 4 years of Spill before that. So I've been working from home for like 15 years, and then they were like, you can't leave your house, and I was like, I wasn't gonna, motherfucker. But what you learn is that when you're not in a relationship and you work from home, showering isn't a thing that has to happen every day, and then it doesn't. And then eventually, after 15 years, it doesn't have to happen, more than once a week. And then sometimes you go, "How long has it been since I've taken a fucking shower? Has it been like 6 days? Jesus God!" So yeah, normally, you got unshowered Jeff. Normally, I'm filthy. 90% of the time you listen to RageSelect, I'm fucking filthy. Okay,
the smell of cigarettes masks everything.
Yes, yes. It's like that thing of what is it like? I used to have a lot of problems, and then I started doing drugs, and now I just have one problem, and the problem is drugs. And it's like,
exactly.
I smoke, so I reek of cigarettes all the time. So nobody else. I've asked people. I'm like, man, do I smell bad? And they're just like, no more than usual. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
That's the thing. Nobody ever notices any of that stuff nowadays. I feel like people just don't have sense of smells that we used to.
Well, I smoke, so I don't know what to...
What's the thing? Like I said, it literally is the only smell that I've ever smelled off of you in like the past 10 years.
Good. Excellent. Wonderful. All right, now that we've got the smells and the
Should they make
figured out.
Deodorant? Is that a thing?
I don't know, man. I don't know how you smelling ass people go through life, because the last time I quit smoking, first off, I was able to taste food for the first time in like 2 decades, and I was like, oh God, this is what I've been eating? I still can't eat taco cabana to this day. And then also I smelled smokers, and I was like, I have dated non-smokers. They put their mouth on my mouth where the anyway, let's not go down that road.
Let's not go down that road.
We got a lot to talk about this week. We got a lot of smorgasbord. We got the fucking golden corral of gaming news. It's all hot and crap, and I don't know.
I love Golden Corral.
I've never been, but I've heard the stories. But before we get to that, actually, it's funny because normally in the intro we do a little thing, but this week, Michael and I both went and watched a movie last night.
We did.
But before we talk about that movie, we went to this. Okay, I want to talk about the venue because we went to this place.
Let's look at the venue first.
And it was like, okay, I don't know how best to describe this. I don't know if people don't know what these places used to exist, where it's like. It was like a community center. So it's in the middle of a neighborhood.
Well, it's the rec center movies were like, we have to save the rec center.
Right.
But like, I forgot they actually exist.
Yeah. So we go to this rec center that's in the middle of like a neighborhood in central Austin. And you walk in the front door. It looks like a high school. And then you walk in the front door and it's like, okay, there's roller skating over there. There's bowling over there. There's like the world's saddest arcade over here. Here's a movie theater with one screen. Here's like a common area where you could do stuff. Here's a food court with no corporate food in it.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing I finally realized that threw me off. Was it was like, here's our weird food court, but there's not a Taco Bell or a Pizza Hut or anything like that. It's just like old school where it's like,
yeah, it's a cafeteria basically.
Yeah. And yeah, so we went to this place and we watched one of the weirdest movies I think I've ever seen.
Yes,
the Day of the Beast.
Yeah,
an Italian movie from the 90s. This was like
forgot
1995. No, I mean I looked it up today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, where it was like it's. Well, first off, I kept looking for Night of the Beast, and that's a whole different movie. Not the Day of the Jackal, the Day of the Beast. It was like 1995. 1995.
That's crazy. I would have thought that was earlier after watching that movie.
Yeah, it seemed like it was from 1982 or something.
I thought it was an 80s film, yeah.
Except for there were like 2 or 3 parts where they had like CGI and it wasn't very good.
I didn't even think about that.
To cover it up, they just cranked up the contrast and made everything darker so you couldn't see like the pixels on really horrible goat CGI. Anyway, it was a movie about the fucking setup for this thing. It's about a priest he feels like he's deciphered the secret codes in the ancient scrolls, and the devil is going to have a kid, and it's going to happen on Christmas Eve 1995, and then he goes to the city and starts sinning.
He goes to Madrid,
and starts like sinning all over the place. He's just like stealing shit and kind of being a dick, but he's doing this so that he can sell his soul to Satan, so that Satan will invite him to the birth of the Antichrist, so that he could double-cross Satan and then kill the Antichrist.
And then save the world. And he meets up with a fat guy that runs a heavy metal store, it's like
record
Italian
store.
Jack Black is the best way of putting it.
And
or more insane.
And then like a TV mystic, like Bill Murray's character in Ghostbusters 2, like World of the Unknown kind of thing.
It was so weird, and I loved it.
And like it was so nonsensical. Like the thing is, as I was watching it, I was kind of just like, okay, and then that happened, and then that happened, and then that happened, and you get to the end of it, you're like, wait, what just fucking happened? And you like start thinking about it, you're like, I'm not even convinced that what I was watching actually happened. Like
that you passed out before the movie started.
No,
you woke up from a fever dream.
No, it's like weird that it's open to interpretation to the point where I'm like, well, nothing happened in this movie. Like you get to the end, and if you look at it from a certain perspective, you're just like, wait a minute. Nothing actually happened in this movie. This could have all been like a hallucination, basically.
There's another movie like this because it was a discussion we had. I even had it with some other people.
Yeah,
it's a movie where if nobody did anything.
Yeah,
actually, I remember what it is. It's like it's the Raiders of the Lost Ark argument that people have. If Indiana Jones didn't do anything, that they would have they would have either never found the Ark or they would have found the Ark
and then opened it on the faces.
All of the Germans.
Yep.
And that's kind of what happens in this movie. Is if the priest didn't do anything, as it turns out, something would have happened anyways. The same way it played out.
I'll tell all of you right now, you can watch this movie on Tubi. It is streaming on Tubi.
It's on Tubi.
You don't have it. You got to watch some commercials, but you don't have to have any accounts or anything. You can just go watch it on Tubi right now. I went back and watched the parts where I left to go to the bathroom because there was no way I was going to make it all the way through this weird movie with a belly full of coffee without having to pee at least 4 times. So, I don't know. Would you say it was good?
I would say it was fun. Is what I will say.
You know what?
I will not say it's good.
Yeah.
I will say it was fun. Those are 2 separate things when it comes to certain movies.
There were some very attractive Italian ladies in there.
Yes, there were some very attractive
Italian ladies. You know what I would say?
Spaniards.
You know what I would say? I wouldn't want to give this movie a rating. What I want to say is, don't watch this movie by yourself.
No.
Like, you want to watch it with other people. Like, if I had to just watch this on my own, if you told me, man, you got to watch this, and I just sat here in my office and watched it, I would have been like, that was fucking garbage.
That was stupid. Why did you make me watch that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
But like, if you got like 2 or 3 people that come over to your house and drink some beers, get high, and watch this fucking movie, or like, it also seems like the sort of thing that would be on in the background at Brian Salisbury's New Year's Eve party,
100%.
where you just keep walking by a TV and looking at it and being like, is it still this fucking what is he doing? Why is he doing that? What Brian, what is this movie? And then he would tell you for 20 minutes. Like,
it was a movie that I'm like, I don't know, I would never want to watch this on my own.
Yep.
And like, yeah, if you said, if I watched this by myself, I don't think I would have loved it as much as I did.
Yeah.
I generally don't think I would have.
Yeah. So recommendation. This is definitely like a trash movie that you want to have your friends. I mean, like, the only downside of watching it in the theater was the fact that, like, I think it might have been more fun to be able to talk through the movie.
Oh yeah, there were whole times where I wanted to turn it. You being like, "What the fuck?" and we had those discussions on the way back.
Yeah,
where we're like, we need to talk about the infinite ammo on this gun.
Back when guns didn't. Yeah, nobody was counting the shots.
Because I wanted desperately to say it to somebody, but I couldn't until the movie was over.
Yep. It meanders. It's weird. I mean, I guess the actors did a pretty good job because it's a lot of like slapstick and kind of falling. A lot of people falling down like stairs and falling over place. A lot of people getting like punched in the face for no reason. The go-to on the heavy metal clerk guy seems to just be punch people in the face for no reason. Like, one of the scenes I missed was where they commandeer a car from a guy and he's just like, he just bashes him in the face.
He's punching the guy in the face.
Yeah. So, real weird. I don't know how much more I could say than real fucking weird.
It's really weird, but it has legitimate character arcs in it.
Yeah.
But plot-wise, it makes no sense.
It very much so.
And I loved it.
Or it does. It's just, it's not written like a movie, but it's not written like an art film either.
I don't even know how to say what it was written like.
Like, most movies have this 3-act structure, right? This movie just kind of meanders. Like, it's just kind of, and then there's like people that are in the first half of the movie, and like halfway through the movie, it's just like, never saw them again. Never saw them again. They were part of the first movie. There's grandpa with the full frontal penis nudity. 2 shots in the movie of just like, look at this old man's dick, and then he just disappears, and I'm like, what happened to that man's dick? Like, you know, what happened to him and his whole family? But
it's a weird fucking movie.
It's a very weird movie. I also watched and I watched like a whole shitload of other stuff, so I'm gonna rapid fire a little bit.
Okay.
The Bear season 3 was pretty good, not as good as The Bear season 1 and 2, but it was still a quality show to watch if you got Hulu. I watched the first 2 episodes of Exploding Kittens. Came out today on Netflix. Yep. Not very. It's okay.
I was surprised they even made a show on that.
There's it reminded me of when I tried to watch the what was the Apple TV with the aliens, for the comic, right?
I forgot the name of that.
There's something that you could say about like adapting a thing to like a Netflix or Hulu animated show where it comes out and it's like, this is okay, but I would never willingly watch it or recommend it to anybody else. Like, it was.
That's how I felt about Cuphead.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. And other than that, it's all just anime. I'll save my anime for another day. What do you got? You got anything? Because we got to get into
just
the news.
Just real quick. You heard part of this was when I started listening to Jake Johnson's podcast called "We're Here to Help." It's just a self-help podcast where 2 comedians essentially are taking people's calls and giving them wildly insane advice for the most part, but also like very genuine advice. And the issues range from stuff like my mother-in-law was in my house. She walked in and she saw the dildo that is the cloned dildo of her son's. And how do I like talk to her about it? Or stuff like, or just like small stuff where like my coworker's annoying and like it varies in like from like kind of normal to like, what the fuck did you just tell us?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Huh.
And it's a lot of fun because, and it's also fun to just picture it as Nick Miller from New Girl giving terrible advice, because that's the other thing. But but most people who've never seen New Girl at least just know him as the voice of Peter B. Parker in Spider-Man, so that's also the voice. That's just his voice. He just talks like that.
Okay,
so it's really funny to just like listen to that.
I've never seen New Girl.
It's great.
I've seen New Girl before. So
my brother forced me to watch it the first time, but then I was like, I love this show. This is actually really stupid, and I really love it.
Yeah. Maybe I should go. Maybe we should go watch. I'm still looking for something to watch. That's why I watched 2 episodes of Exploding Kittens and was like, "This isn't worth."
The closest you probably ever saw New Girl was when they had a crossover with Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, the meme of the name 5 things. So that was on me. That whole thing.
It's weird because there's an episode of it on their side, and then there's an episode of it on Brooklyn Nine-Nine side.
Oh, okay.
And it's just weird because they don't. It doesn't really matter, like because I remember they're like, if we do a crossover, it'll be fun. And I watched it. I was like, what the fuck was that? That was such a weird crossover.
Yeah,
but I still enjoyed it quite a bit.
Okay,
but I love New Girl. If you guys ever had a chance, really watch New Girl. It's not what you think it is. When you hear the idea of like the quirky girl, it's like, no, it's everybody making fun of the quirky girl.
All right, fair enough. Maybe I'll give it a try.
That's great. And Nick Miller is the best fucking character on the entire show.
All right, news. As mentioned, we got the Golden Corral news. There's no conferences this week.
Just keep getting the steak at Golden Corral.
No big big announcements. Yeah. As evidenced by our first story, which is that Microsoft is raising the price of Game Pass.
Yeah, Jeff. Tell us more about its very confusing process.
I don't like. People try to talk about these sorts of things, and I'm just like, I don't know how much fucking Game Pass costs. I just was like, here, give me Game Pass. How much is it? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, well, it's less than. It's not $30 a month.
No,
it's what it was.
It was like $15 a month.
$15
for a long time.
Yeah,
and that was the Ultimate Game Pass, is what that one was.
And I'm like, that doesn't register on my financial like brain. I don't know, because I think that
there was a lot of different tiers for a bit there. There was the normal Game Pass, which just gave you Game Pass.
Yeah.
But it didn't give you Xbox Gold with it.
Right.
Whereas Ultimate gave you both that Game Pass and PC Game Pass, because for some reason they were considered 2 separate Game Passes.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Anytime you have to present me with like a grid with like features with dots where the features are, I'm like, I'm not interested, man.
This is why people got confused because they're like, oh, we're also discontinuing console Game Pass, which was the separate, non-Ultimate version.
Yeah,
and I was like, and the more they explain it, the more I was like, you said, I'm like, I don't fucking care anymore. Like, just tell me what the one I'm paying for increased or not. And yeah, it increased like $4 or $5 or something like that.
So Ultimate was $17 before, and now it's $20.
Which isn't that big of a difference.
The main thing is, okay, so what we're left with is what? There's a new one called Core.
Yeah.
That does just like the online play and then like the free Xbox games, like the old school style, right? Where you get like the PS Plus style, where you get like 3 games a month, right? They put the back catalog on there, whatever. It's not the big full.
It was just Gold, basically. That was just the version of Gold. But I guess they changed the name to it.
Yeah. So now they've got that, and then they've got a new tier. That's like, oh god, can I have another one of these? Yeah,
well, it's just Game Pass without the day one. I think that's the one you're talking about, right?
Yes, I'm just trying to figure out how much it is.
Oh yeah, I forgot that part. I think it's the original
there we go.
price.
Yeah, somebody on Twitter actually made a fucking chart. Fucking charts. Fucking hate charts. Okay, so all right, here's where we're at right now. We now have 4 different Game Passes. Game Pass Core, $10 a month. That one gets you online multiplayer, which I think it's fucking criminal. There's still anything you have to pay for online multiplayer on the Xbox. And then the catalog, the limited catalog, and then some discounts. Then you got Game Pass Standard, which is $15 a month, which has all that, but then it also has the actual quote-unquote Game Pass catalog. So the big difference here is that there was like the Xbox games catalog, the stuff that you used to get with Gold, and then the Game Pass catalog, which were 2 separate things. So this one gets you Game Pass catalog, but it doesn't get you day one access to the stuff that's on Game Pass. So like when Starfield or Indiana Jones or Call of Duty or whatever comes out, you don't get that on day one.
Yeah.
You get that later down the line. It's like, this is the whole fucking reason Game Pass was a good value.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you're not a YOLO gamer like I am, where you got to get everything the first day it comes out. I mean, I guess, but if you're gonna wait to get things until later on, why buy Game Pass in the first place? Like,
it's still like watching old movies kind of idea. Like, but it makes more sense for the person who hasn't already had it for a long time.
Yeah,
but that's the only thing that makes sense to me for that one.
And then there's with the Ultimate, which is $20 a month, you get like discounts. You get the EA Play and Riot Games subscriptions, and you get the Xbox Cloud Gaming. And then there's got a separate tier that's a PC tier that's $12 a month, and it's basically everything but cloud gaming. And then, it obviously doesn't have the like Xbox Gold or the multiplayer stuff because
I wouldn't
it's PC.
do anything console related, basically.
Yeah,
like there's no reason for it to.
And I actually think that that's the same. I think that that's the same as the old PC one. Yeah, I don't think they raise the price on that.
I think that's the only thing they left the same, as far as I know. But then again, like I said, it's confusing.
They're cranking up the price. I mean, like, here's the thing. Okay. I've had a lot of good stuff to say about Game Pass, but I've thought about it a lot this week from the perspective of, like, if you're like me, Game Pass makes a certain amount of sense. If your primary, like, hobby is video games, and you want to play the games that come out brand new, and you're like me, where every couple of days you're opening up the Xbox app and you're looking at what's new, and you're like, oh, okay, that's free. Part of it too is the fact that I have, for content, it's a great value for me, because instead of spending $20 on one indie game, I can spend it for the entire month to get everything that's on being added to Game Pass. But for like the average person, I don't know if this is worth it as much as I know that the limited one is definitely not worth it. Like, taking the day one stuff off is just like, that was kind of the point, or at least it was to me. Like,
no, that was its original selling point, was that, hey, not only are you getting all these games, but when we release a game, you get to play that sucker from day one for free. That was why it was such a big deal. That was the reason it survived the first place.
Right.
Because if it was just the way that version of it is now, or that version, that version at the time it started, no one would have given a shit.
Yeah.
It would have just been like, okay, I guess you get a handful of games, it'd be like not even for free per se. Like, you would be thinking it's like the equivalent of, like,
it's what PlayStation Plus is now.
Yeah. Or probably not even, like, it would have because back then to people there wasn't even anything on it,
right?
So to them it would have been the equivalent of, like, hey, like, why don't you come to our theme park and you can get in for $5 and play any of these things? But it's not a theme park; it's like the one that's in a parking lot at a Walmart, with like busted down rides.
It's like the place that we went to last night.
All of these things for $5, and you'd be like, I don't want these, like. Where, like, you see on the other side, like, where the version of is after that, the version that we did get was like the equivalent of, like, here's Disneyland, but like a lot of the rides haven't been finished.
Right.
But the rides that we do finish, like, you get to go there and you get to meet Donald Duck for free, like, first day.
I mean, kind of thing. And like the thing, and I want to be clear, where, like, I honestly don't think that a $3 price increase, it could be a lot worse. Like, if it was, they probably could legitimately have raised the price to $25 a month.
That's why I'm surprised that the increase was not that much more.
Yeah.
But like you said, but to the normal person, that is that much more.
Yeah.
Because the way subscriptions make money in these kinds of instances is the gym membership idea, where you put it down and then you forget it exists, and then you just lets it charge forever. And the reason I've never had the thought where I'm like, I should totally cancel Game Pass is because I'm also a giant gamer. That is my main hobby, and I tend to just be like, what's on Game Pass real quick so I can just stick around. But to the average user, that's not their thought process, and so if something like that goes up in price, their mind is just saying, well, it's like, well, I don't use this enough to need to justify a price increase of anything.
It's reminding somebody that they still have a World of Warcraft subscription, and you're like, oh, do I still have fuck that $3? Like, it's not the $3; it's that you weren't using it in the first place.
You also weren't expecting it $3 extra to not be in your account, kind of thing,
right?
Because some people are very suspicious of, like, oh, where did this money go that I wasn't expecting to leave my account? And like you said, it reminds you of that.
They've got like whole like apps and services now to just like keep track of what's being auto debited out of your account and
the
tell
Rocket
you like
money or whatever.
You sure?
I keep hearing ads for, and I've already seen people on Twitter being like, "I'm just going to cancel this because not only are you increasing my prices, but you're doing this after laying off a shit ton of people."
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing, and you know, you and I have talked about this, and it's not a secret. It's just there all the time. Xbox ain't got shit, man.
No,
like
true.
the even the stuff that they've announced for later this year is just like, one, they don't got shit, and two, they seem like they're moving to a place where even the shit they do have is eventually going to come to other consoles anyway. So like, what the hell is the point if Game Pass is just going to keep rising in price until it hits, you know, like currently, again, still, if you play two $60 games a year on Game Pass, right? It's paid for itself, right?
For the most part,
that's kind of where I got to. But less and less, especially this year,
yes,
like less and less, and then
they're really expecting Call of Duty to somehow justify that price to people for some reason.
Yeah, but Call of Duty's been like dropping in popularity,
which is why it's
for
so
like
weird.
The last like 5 years.
Like, well, now that we're getting Call of Duty on Game Pass, we're going to charge you a little more for it,
right?
But you know, but me and you are like, I don't care about Call of Duty, so I don't see a reason for that to be on me.
Like if Nintendo had a Game Pass, I would buy the shit out of it.
They have
like
the weirdest Game Pass in existence.
No,
like, you want to play Super Mario World?
Fucking
come on, guys.
No, not the expansion pack. If they're like actual Game Pass, hell, if Sony had something that was more like Game Pass, which their PS Plus Extra, whatever the one I pay for,
the closest one, the most expensive one.
It's closer to that, but like the problem is that Xbox has a superior service, Michael, a service that gives consumers more for less. Or actually, that should give consumers more for less. The problem is that there's nothing on there that I want to play.
It's less for more, Jeff.
Like,
it's less for more.
I'm like, there's so many ways that you guys could do. You know what? Okay, we're gonna move on after this. But like, the big thing that I feel like has happened is that Microsoft introduced Game Pass, and they were like, look at this. And we were all like, great, that's a great deal. And they're like, yes, and this is going to carry us forward into the future. Just you wait. We got games that are coming, and they're going to be day one on Game Pass, and you're going to want to play them. And you're like, okay. And then 6 months, you're like, where are those games? And they're like, just you wait. And it's been like 3 years now, and I'm like, Phil, can I get those games yet? He's like, just you wait. Right around the corner, this holiday season, of Indiana Jones.
Of that fucking that joke from South Park with George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
Where he's like, the pizzas are coming.
Right.
It's like, where are those goddamn pizzas, George?
It's like that scene of
you didn't even order them, George?
It's like Monty Python and the Holy Grail where John Cleese is running at the castle and it keeps cutting back to him at the same distance.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, guys, or fucking Dr. Frankenfurter talking about Antissa, and then like I'm like, where's the patient, you guys? I need like a reason, and I don't think the Xbox is a worse console hardware wise.
No, it's actually a very powerful console,
and like their online services seem like they're pretty good. Like I never hear problems about like you always get disconnected, or the voice comms don't work, or the matchmaking's bad, or the friend group and stuff. The problem is just like they've built everything but the games.
Well, the other issue they've run into is one that I didn't even think was going to be an issue, was them being like, well, if you make a game for the Xbox Series X, the most powerful console we've ever made, you also have to make sure it works on that potato in the corner.
Right.
And then everybody's like, but I don't want to do that. Right. And they're like, well, that sucks. And then PlayStation's just like, you don't have to do that over here.
Yep.
You want to just hang out? And so we've gotten a little bit more from them, but not by that much more.
I feel like they would have learned this lesson with the Kinect.
No, they've not.
Where they're like, everything's got to have Kinect integration, and people are like, well, pass. Because I don't know.
Or they would give it like the most generic thing where like you can say enter or whatever.
Right.
But it always had an off switch on it, luckily.
Yeah, and I like the catalog of games that they get, like that. I don't understand how Microsoft isn't just going. I mean, maybe they just can't. Maybe they go to Japan and none of the publishers over there. Maybe Bandai Namco is just like, hey, go fuck yourself, Phil. Like, we're going to put all these off-brand weird JRPGs, and we're just going to put them on PlayStation and sometimes the Switch.
Well, it comes down to the fact that if you go to the Japanese market and you're like, hey, we want you to make games for the market that you have no power over.
Right.
Then, of course, you're going to be like, no, you don't make any money out here, so I'm not doing that. So,
and then not to just keep dumping on Microsoft, but we also got a report from I don't really know who this guy is. He's like some kind of like analyst, some kind of data analyst.
I've seen that name
named Matt Piscatella. That to give us an idea of how Hellblade 2 did, right? We were talking about how Hellblade 2 did. Apparently, May 2024 was when it came out, and Hellblade 2 was 37th overall in terms of full dollar sales.
Oh my goodness!
And it was 21st overall on Xbox Series consoles.
Oh my god! They were so like adamant that it was doing well.
Yeah.
I want to say this is surprising.
It was behind Fallout 76 because that was kind of when people were doing like the Fallout show and all the Fallout stuff was having like a resurgence. So like it was ahead of some of the other stuff that was on there, but like, and you know, and that's probably, I mean, listen, I'm not trying to be a dick here. That's probably where it should have been. It was a boutique game. Like, it wasn't a broad appeal. Like, they kept pushing it like it was going to have broad appeal, but I don't think it ever did.
We were joking about that, where they were like, this is the next big God of War type thing. And you're like, that's not what this game is.
Yeah.
That's not what Hellblade 1 was.
Yeah.
So, like, I knew it was going to be, I knew it was going to end up the way it did. And the only saving grace I had for it was the fact it was in Game Pass, because if they would have marketed it the same way they did now, but it was a paid game, there would have been so many people pissed off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it came out. I think they also said that it came out that May also was when Ghost of Tsushima came out on PC and just fucking like was you know, cracking skulls.
It was like a week later, a week before, or something like that.
I just, you know, I just don't understand. I don't understand. Oh, bless me. I don't understand how Microsoft has lost the plot. Like, you need games, and like you bought a bunch of studios, and that's fine and everything, but like, okay, you bought a lot of those studios you bought like 2 years ago. I know COVID fucked everything up. I know that.
Even earlier than that, to be honest.
But like, where the fuck is Double Fine?
Yeah.
Like, where the fuck? What are they doing? Like,
I don't know what it is that Phil Spencer did. Phil Spencer did all the. I don't know how. Okay, here's the thing about Phil Spencer that I'm always surprised by.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer somehow convinced the world consistently that Xbox is doing fine. He will walk on to, like, during E3, back when he was doing E3 still, being like, well, you know, you guys are all like saying we don't have any games. Keanu Reeves, everybody.
Right.
And you're like, what does that have to do with games other than he's in Cyberpunk, which is in everything.
Right.
Which doesn't make you better. It just is better because you brought him on stage.
Yeah.
And like there was that old video that Flash Kids video where they're like, how does he do it?
Yeah,
because everybody's like excited. You're like, all he did was bring Keanu Reeves on stage.
Yeah,
there's no other games.
I just, you know, like, I don't think Avowed looks like a bad game, but the idea that you bought Obsidian Entertainment and that this holiday season you're going to be pumping out this, like, it's like Skyrim, but it's different from the guys that made Fallout New Vegas. You like them, right? And I'm like, I know Obsidian. I've made my peace with them. I used to hate them, but I'm okay with them now. But like, everything I've seen of that game is like, this is like Hellblade 2. This game is not going to do what you think it's going to do. In fact, the only game out there that could have done what you thought it was going to do was fucking Starfield, and it did not. It didn't.
It didn't do what you thought it was going to do. It didn't. I don't think it didn't do what anyone thought it was going to do.
I'm even not convinced about the Indiana Jones game. Like, machine games, like, you think about Wolfenstein, those are popular games.
Yeah.
But like, I mean,
but they also push the envelope in a lot of spots.
But they're not that. But they're not Call of Duty. They're not that. They're not studio making games. They're not like, they don't have the tail to make you shitloads of money on the, you know, when they come out. They're not strong enough. You don't put Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus up against Call of Duty or even Battlefield for that matter, because it's just gonna fucking flop, right? I
was always surprised that they're the studio they picked for Indiana Jones, not just because of the fact that they're first person, but like all those things you just said.
Yeah,
they're not exactly like they're not.
I think they make good games.
No, they make great games, but the problem is that like Star Wars is getting all these like big fucking things.
Yep.
And then Indiana Jones finally gets a game. They're like, "You there, boy, in the corner. You make our Indiana Jones game," as if it's like the most exciting thing ever.
I feel like it was just a thing where they had everybody that they bought, all of the studios they bought, and everybody that works at Microsoft at Xbox, and they just put them all like in a movie theater. They were doing the thing, and they were like, "Okay, guys, next point, we're gonna make an Indiana Jones game. Who knows how to make Nazi character models?"
Yeah, who already has Nazi character models?
And everybody at Machine Games raised their hand. They're like, "You guys, go make Indiana Jones.
Repurpose your models, and you got an Indiana Jones game."
I don't know. I get a real bad feeling.
It needs Troy Baker, by the way.
I get a real bad feeling about like I don't know. It depends on whether the industry swings back up next year, but like I just don't see how Microsoft has built this donut of a company. There's a hole in the middle of this company. It's called games. Like
I really don't know how they did what they've done. They've impressed me with how little they have done with how much money they have spent.
You know what? I've got real-time tracking data on it, Michael, because I have 2 plugs that go to my television, 2 power cables. One of them is almost always plugged into my PlayStation, and the other one is usually either plugged into my Apple TV or it's loose. And I can count how many times I plug it into my Xbox. Now, recently, with 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, it's been plugged in a little bit, but the number of times I plugged it in to play like a new game that's come out, very low.
Well, I told you at one point, I'm like, I don't remember the last time I turned on my Xbox.
Yep.
I finally started turning it on again because I had podcasts to listen to, and Halo's a game I can play without having to pay attention to something.
I don't understand how they fucked up Halo.
I don't know either.
How did you shut it down? Start over. Shut it down and reboot the franchise, for God's sake. Don't let Halo dwindle off into obscurity the way that you've done it. Like, cut it off.
I don't know what they're doing over there.
Cut it off, and like, I'm sorry to say this, but fire that team, hire some new people, and give them 5 years and an infinite budget. You've let one of the tentpole franchises of all of video games become garbage. Nothing. Nobody cares. Like
Dude, their Xbox franchise don't make any sense anymore. Their only pillar franchise that has been consistent is their fucking Forza,
yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to do a lot to make a good racing game nowadays.
Anyway, sorry.
Sorry, we went on for a while there on that one.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We got kind of heated.
All right, so let's talk about a company that is owned by Microsoft.
Christ. Oh, my God.
So Overwatch 2 had a big we're not going to focus too much on this, but I think it's interesting. Overwatch 2 had a big update. One of the big things that people have been complaining about, apparently, in the Overwatch 2 community is tanks and how they're not very fun to play. And so every single tank in the game, apparently, got a huge power boost in the latest update, to the point that like this shit is like they've raised like damages by like 10% across the board. Like they've done a lot of really weird shit that apparently, again, I know this team is not the first year that they've got their hands on Overwatch 2, and I don't understand how they keep kicking themselves in the nuts.
They keep making weird patches.
It's an unforced error. I think this might be the one where, this is a person doing their... Okay, so what happened here was you had a character playing Bastion, and he did his ultimate where he turns into the turret.
Yeah.
And Mauga's over here, and Mauga has an ability where when he can activate it, and when he shoots, it heals him for the damage that he does. And they upped that by like 20%. So this is somebody with a Bastion that is being buffed, doing their ultimate, and in response, the Mauga just starts shooting them, and the Mauga does not die, but the Bastion does die.
Oh my goodness!
And that's not like Mauga's ultimate. It's just an ability that he can pop. Like,
look, he's getting a little healed outside of that, but still, that still would have killed anyone else.
this is somebody doing Roadhog's ultimate and like face to face with Malga, and then he just like he killed him with no health loss whatsoever. Like
that was disgusting.
You could find a lot of this.
What is that first one? Because there's another one up top.
That's just a guy discussing the various.
He's just discussing
it shows the changes. Like it's a TikTok of a guy going over the changes. So it shows like.
He's like reading off.
He's reading through the patch notes. So yeah, it's a big thing. I don't understand. That was
disgusting.
How I don't understand how this is still a problem. Like you run these patches through your beta servers. And you see how they go.
Here's the thing. I don't think they do.
Yeah, me neither.
What I think they're doing is they're doing the shoot first, ask question later patch.
Yeah,
that used to be the thing back when patches first started. When patches, a lot of people forget this because this has been years and years of patches that we've been dealing with. Patches used to just be like, okay, we made this patch, we never really tested it, but since we need it to be out now, we're just going to do that. Oh, what's that? It explodes your Xbox.
Right.
I guess we didn't notice.
Roll
that.
It back. Roll back.
Roll back really quick. Because back then it was just like it was the Wild West when it came to patches because nobody really knew what the fuck you were supposed to do back then.
Yep.
A lot of it was just like, we'll push the new version each time we're done. The second the new version is done, just push it out.
Yeah.
Without actually testing it. That used to be the norm. That's what seems to be going on again, but with Overwatch 2 specifically.
Yeah, I don't understand how this shit keeps coming through. But then I also get the impression that the Overwatch community is very finicky and very difficult to satisfy.
Oh no, it's very true.
However, the one thing that I thought was really interesting was apparently there was some notes in here that said that the Overwatch 2 team is looking at bringing back a 6v6 mode because I'm just like, okay, all right. What was even the point of any of this? What was even the point?
Holy shit.
Yeah, sure.
What the fuck?
Let's bring it back.
Fuck you guys. I'm so done with you guys.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But Overwatch isn't the only online multiplayer game that is currently having a bad time because Apex Legends apparently just did an update where okay, so instead of they had a battle pass with 100 ranks, and what would happen was it was every 3 months you get 100 rank battle pass for $10 that can be bought with the in-game currency that you earn when you play the game, or with regular dollars, with V-Bucks or with regular dollars, right?
Yeah.
They're changing that. Now it's 2 60 rank battle passes every 6 weeks.
Jesus.
And you cannot use the in-game currency to purchase them anymore.
Oh my god.
Yes.
That's terrible.
Yes. And this is basically just like, and so this is like we were talking about with the Xbox. Like, I think that I have this running theory in my head, Michael, that the people that have money, like people that earn a fair amount of money, have no idea what it's like right now.
No.
Where, like, you know, I was doing relatively okay until the last, like, 2 or 3 years, and now I'm just like, where the fuck did all my money go? And then I look at my bank, and it's like, oh, food. Just food.
Food is really expensive right now.
Just food, and that's where all my money went. And so they're just like, this is like when they asked, you guys have phones, right? Where it's like, now is not the time to be raising the cost of your battle pass, EA.
No.
Like, this is not, because what you're going to do is you're going to get people who were like hanging on by a thread are going to go, okay, well, I'm going to go play Fortnite, I guess. Like,
no, I'm done.
Those guys aren't nickel and diming me to death. Like,
well, not at the moment. They did raise their prices a little bit not that long ago.
Yeah. But I mean, okay, listen, Fortnite.
It's not as noticeable.
No company is good, no company is evil, but Epic has so much money that they're able to not be quite as greedy.
No.
And that comes off, and they do deliver a lot for what you get.
And their battle pass has for the most part stayed the same.
Yeah. But this is spurring on a whole bunch of people who are just like, yep, I'm going to go ahead and fucking unsubscribe. And the problem with this stuff, too, is the fact that, like, when you do this and it fucks it up, even if you roll it back, most of those people are not coming back.
No, they're gone.
Like
the second you burn money making people,
yeah,
they're done.
Yeah,
I've been hearing some people making these decisions in the worst possible way, wondering why they're making less money.
Yeah, well,
because I don't know if this is a part of your news story or not, or the XDefiant one or not. Have you heard about that?
I don't have that one.
A friend of mine sent me this news story where the XDefiant producer or something.
Yeah,
people were arguing about the bugs. They're like, "There's a lot of bugs right now. Still, like, are you guys going to start fixing these things?" And the producer is like, "If you don't like it, just don't play the game." And it's just like, sir, you have just told the people who are giving you money to fuck off. Yeah, that's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yep. No, I mean, sometimes we see it where like there's this is the fucking Aurora Borealis, like, a buggy multiplayer game this year, like in this month on this platform. Like, no, man.
No, it's a bad time, guys.
You should be doing this. Like, you should be. And that's another thing where people are saying that Apex Legends has a lot of cheaters. In fact, I had to look it up. There's like there's a company that sells like this Raspberry Pi that you put between, like, it's a physical device that you plug like the USB cable into that, and then you come out the other side and it goes to your controller, and it literally does like recoil dampening and like some rudimentary aiming assisting stuff.
That's crazy shit.
Yeah, and they're like, well, yeah, the place is full of cheaters and it's full of bugs. And this is what your priority is making it so that we've got to spend real money on the battle pass. So anyway,
games used to be fun.
Well, online games are their own history.
I guess that's fair.
But on that happy note,
but I feel like not enough people are fucking my mom anymore.
Right.
Is the other part.
Right.
So, she's lonely is all I'm saying.
We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break and see if we can get that problem sorted out. We'll be back in a minute with more podcasts. See you then. Michael, during the break, I had an epiphany. I realized, moving forward, I don't know if this helps with RageSelect or not, but that I think that if we just had one news story, we could do the entire 2.5-hour podcast on one news story if that was all there was.
That's true. It would be very easy to do.
Because I have a bunch of crappy news stories here, and I was like, well, surely we won't run through all of these in part one. We got through like 3 stories in part one.
We really did.
So anyway, that's all to say. Hey, everybody, it's time to pick up the pace. Speaking of developers that people are getting mad at, Creative Assembly. Apparently, I wasn't aware that any of this happened, but apparently Creative Assembly has been like fucking it up real hard recently.
I've heard the rumblings, but I don't know enough about it to really say anything.
So there were 2 things. There was an expansion to Total War Warhammer 3, and then there was the Total War Pharaoh. And apparently Total War Pharaoh was like very, like they wanted a full $60 for it.
Really?
And it was like it was a smaller game than that. Like it was scaled back from a lot of what people expected, and people were like, "You want a whole fucking $60 for this?" And then apparently the expansion for Warhammer 3 was they upped the price of what they would normally charge for an expansion for Warhammer 3.
Oh, geez.
And it was a little bit lighter than the previous expansion, and so people were very upset about it. However, they're trying to make things right. So the first thing they did was apparently refunded everybody who bought Warhammer or the Pharaoh like $20 out of their $60 to make it like $40. They dropped the price. They refunded people the difference, et cetera, et cetera. And then apparently at the end of the month there is a huge update, like the size of the game update, where like
that's crazy.
It's adding in like a whole politics system and a whole bunch of different countries that weren't there before, and just like a whole shitload of stuff to try to get people back on the right side. Because I got the feeling, maybe this is the theme for this episode, is like I get the feeling that if you piss off the Warhammer or the Total War, not Warhammer, the Total War crowd enough, Warhammer people, they'll buy anything. I've seen them.
Well, they're kind of like they're both fan bases are in there, but like they will pay anything.
But if you piss off the Total War fan base hard enough, like this is not like an expansive fan base where you can afford to lose 20%. It's like what's happening with City Skylines, right? You don't want to piss those people off because
there's only so many of them,
right? You're building something for a niche audience. You don't want to lose.
There are literally dozens of them.
Yes. So, but it's good to see that a company is coming out and like trying to do the right thing. So,
yeah.
And the big update for that drops on July 25th. So, kind of by the end of the month. Let's see. We got some bad Embracer news. Piranha Bytes, which is the company that has made a series of games that I really don't know anything about. They made Gothic, they made LX, and they made Risen.
I've heard of none of these.
I've heard of all three of them because they keep coming across my... I think I played like a remaster. One of those was, I think, the one that Chris and I played where just Judas Priest was in the game. It might have been Risen 2 or something like that.
That sounds plausible.
They're one of these companies that does like very niche, weird Eastern European RPGs, like that are like third person and they're kind of ugly. They've got pretty decent writing and they've got a really dedicated fan base who will not shut up about how you need to play Gothic and how it changed their life when they played it. But they were one of the companies. I actually think that they were owned by THQ Nordic, and I don't think they were purchased. They got grandfathered into Embracer when it was created.
That's interesting.
And they just fucking axed them. I mean, they just fucking done. Whole studio gone. Rights to those games are in Embracer's hands. Okay. Apparently, it was a husband and wife team that created the studio.
Okay,
and they basically immediately went out to create a new studio called Pithead Studio.
No, good for them.
And they were like, yeah, we're gonna try to making more stuff along these lines. We're gonna try to find some funding. We're gonna put together a thing. We're gonna keep going. So, which is I think about as good as you can expect.
No, that's the best version of these stories we've ever gotten.
Yeah,
because usually when these happen, everybody's just like, and then that was the end of it.
Right.
They all went their separate ways, and everybody ever talked to each other again. Very few, and I'm not even gonna say very few of them. This is literally the only one that I can think of where like literally right after they're like, and then we made a new one. Like the second they were gone, I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of surprising.
Yeah, I guess I kind of understand, but I don't entirely understand why during all this bullshit they keep dissolving studios instead of cutting them loose. Like, it's about, I mean, I guess you would still retain the rights to the property. Like, take Tango, right? Like, Microsoft would still keep the rights to Ghostwire and Evil Within and the Rhythm one.
I don't remember the name of it.
Fuck. Anyway.
Oh, Hi-Fi Rush?
Hi-Fi Rush, yeah.
Sorry.
They would
I thought you were talking about a dancing game for some reason.
Like put out a contract where you're like, we get to keep the rights to these games and these franchises. We can do whatever the fuck we want with them. And then we're just like, starting next month, we're not going to pay anybody anymore. So like, good luck, I guess. See what you can do. I guess I just don't understand why they keep like busting up these teams instead of just like, and I know it doesn't like, there's no financial upside to them.
I feel like it's a contractual thing.
Cutting them loose? Yeah, I guess.
There's got to be something in their contract that says if X thing happens, then we have to do something.
Yeah.
And then if they do that, it ends up, there must be something that's keeping them from being able to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just easier to dissolve them instead.
And I mean, and this is also, like this is just Embracer's MO at this point is like you bought an Eastern European company that made games that had a modest profit, and like they haven't made a modest profit recently, but they're working on something, and you're just like, well, fucking, we're in emergency mode, so we're just gonna start like cutting people and gutting studios.
Well,
and just like,
well, the annoying thing is Embracer was like, we're done doing all that,
right?
And then this news story comes out.
Yeah,
you're like, fuck, dude, it hasn't even been 10 minutes.
There's another news story. Maybe we'll get to it next week about like I just read it on my phone. I didn't actually look it up or read it about how Embracer is now secured a new line of like investment credit.
Oh my god!
And I'm just like, oh no, baby, no! Like, put out some video games and make profits. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Give that money to the people who are still around,
right?
To make games.
I don't know. I have a feeling though that I don't want this to be the case, but whoever that studio is that's making that Animal Crossing Hobbit game, the like Life in the Shire or whatever it's called.
About that.
That game's gonna fucking burn.
Oh, 100%.
It's like it doesn't look very good, and I don't think that there's enough people who are just like, yay, now I can be a Hobbit on my Switch. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Like Gollum did not.
No, it didn't. Lord of the Rings fans aren't the same where they're like, I'll buy anything you make that has the words Lord of the Rings in it.
Yeah.
No, they're not those guys.
Speaking of disappointments, Exoprimal is done with active development.
We just had this conversation, like off mic, and I didn't even know this was a news story.
Yep. So Capcom announced that Exoprimal, it's been 1 year since Exoprimal came out. And the announcement is they're not shutting down the servers. They are done making new content for the game.
Jesus.
So what this means is that now, moving forward, they just are going to put the seasons on repeat. So it just goes back to season 1 content, does that, and then it'll just go through I think it was like 6 seasons or something like that of content that they made for the game.
A movie?
And then, and then just restarts from the beginning. But there's no more active development being done on content for Exoprimal, and it's like, yes.
Yeah, that's kind of lame, but at the same time, I don't know anybody who plays Exoprimal, so for the 3 of you playing that game, I feel very sad for you.
Like, you know, I don't know if there's a specific place that I've got in here where this sentiment is better, but like, guys, we're on the same page, right? Don't trust them.
No.
Like, don't trust them, okay?
Every time one of these games that's a live service game pops up, wait the year.
Yeah.
See if it survives the year.
Yeah.
And then play the game.
Yeah. You know, I didn't get into playing, even trying Fortnite until it had been out for like 5 years. It was great after that.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't touch Fortnite for years, and now I'm broke again because I'm playing Fortnite.
Okay. Michael, we've had disappointing companies, disappointing live services. What do you think is next on the wheel of shit?
Disappointing producers? Question mark?
No, it's another disappointing live service because Suicide Squad Kills Justice League has a new season for you. Exoprimal may not have any seasons, but Suicide Squad Kills Justice League does.
So my favorite thing about this news, not this specific news story, but because I heard it got delayed, was that it was supposed to come out like Monday or Tuesday.
It was supposed to come out, I think, the day before we recorded this.
Yeah, and there's a specific guy on Twitter. He used to be the guy who leaked everything about the Avengers. Like he was a big proponent of Avengers. That was the other live service game that I got into day one.
Sure.
That I don't regret it because that was a fun time. But he was the big proponent of it, and he was trying to do the same thing for Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
He was trying to be like, look, guys, Suicide Squad's great. You should play it. They banned him one time for a little bit for I think one of his leaks, and he was like, I'm trying to get people to play this game and you're banning me for it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, they announced this, no trailers at all.
Nope.
Just a single screenshot of Mr. Freeze.
Mrs. Freeze.
They're
Yes.
like, what are you people doing?
Yes. Mrs. Freeze is the next character that you could play. It's Mr. Freeze's wife from the multiverse. And yeah, it was supposed to come out the day before we recorded this, and the day before it was supposed to come out, it was announced that it was delayed. Like, they barely promoted it, and then they also didn't tell anybody until, again, you have a small audience of people who are actually playing Suicide Squad Kills Justice League, and they're like, hey man, like, just, I'm trying to enjoy myself here, and you're making it really fucking hard.
I heard that it's also going to be free for a little bit.
Oh, the whole game?
Yeah, it's going to be, you know how, have you ever heard of Prime Gaming?
The Amazon thing?
Yeah, so Amazon has this thing. A lot of people forget this is even a thing. That if you go to your Amazon account, there's a certain section of it somewhere. I can't remember how I found it. Yeah. Somebody sent it to me years ago. Where you can get free, like, random game stuff. And for 2 days, I don't know which days, because I didn't really look at it, they're going to give out the Suicide Squad Killed Justice League for, like, 2 days.
Yeah.
And I'm just staring at it going, nah.
So,
not even for free do I want that shit.
This is coming on July 25th instead of the 11th. So it's been delayed until the end of the month. What a
shit show is the words you want to say.
Yeah.
You're trying to be nice about it.
No.
But no.
I was just trying to come up with the right level of...
Like a pun?
I was just trying to channel my emotions, and they're very mixed because, again, I literally, I tell you, I didn't have a bad time playing through the single-player campaign of Suicide Squad Kills Justice League.
You didn't have the catastrophic experiences a lot of other people did.
Well, I had no expectations.
I guess that's
like
true
they
too.
announced it, and I was like, "Well, whatever, man." And then I played it, and I was like, "I don't know, it's all right." And then I got to the end game where they were like, "Okay, now grind for 700 hours," and I was like, that's okay. I'm done.
Well, that was the same issue you had with Avengers when it first came out.
Yeah.
You were like, the single player is great, and I still think the single player is great for that.
Yeah.
But once you're done, you're like, okay, now just grind.
Right.
Because we have nothing else to do, and you're like, why don't... Like, I don't want to have anything else I can do that's story related that can give me some of that stuff.
Yep.
Like, not really.
I don't want to do
Just do these same 10 missions over and over again. And you're like, but I don't want to do any of that.
So yeah, it's been kind of interesting to see just what a spectacular disaster this has been.
My issue is that the people who keep making these games really should just have a lot of this stuff kind of done before they ever come out with it, and that's just, I think that's the issue right now.
I mean, I can't be too mad at Rocksteady because, okay, we are at the end of the live service boom, and somebody had to be the people that missed the plane at the platoon, right? Like some people, or the chopper, like some people were going to get stuck with the dick in their hands because it takes 5 years to develop a game, and if a year ago all live service things were dead because the fickle video game audience was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm done with that, I don't give a shit anymore, like I don't want to play with you anymore, and then you still have to put the game out. You spent 5 years and millions of dollars making it.
Like, if somebody could go back in time and tell them 5 years prior to this thing, the pandemic happening, if you make one of these games come out the second 2020 hits, you're golden. I mean, because that was the time where everybody had nothing to do, and all they did was want to play these live service games.
If it had gone up against Avengers, right? If it had come out around the same time as Avengers and they'd kind of gone head to head, I feel like there might have been
it would have been a
crowd, for this game. But it came out. It was like when you watch those sad ass indie MMOs or the Dota clones that were coming, the MOBA clones that were coming out, when it was like, guys, it's done. Like, there's 2 that people play. Nobody gives a shit about your fucking DC. Well, then what?
The DC one,
Gotham City Imposters. There's a long history of bad.
The team battle one or whatever. What was the DC MOBA one called?
I don't fucking know.
It might have just been called. It wasn't Multiverse. I think it was just called Crisis, maybe. I don't know. I played it for a hot second. It was terrible.
Yep. Let's see. Another live service gaming news. We played Once Human last week.
We did.
People are apparently really mad at Once Human because apparently in the EULA for Once Human, it says that they can request your government ID and /or collect data about your personal, who you are and whatever.
Oh my goodness.
Outside of the game from social media accounts or other stuff. They could basically do research on you by hitting agree to the video game.
My favorite thing about this news story is it has an ad for the game right next to it.
Yes.
Also, the other part of the EULA, or the thing it's asking you, is it wants your pants for some reason.
There are no
You're not allowed to have pants.
No pants.
In the game.
So what's interesting about this is that this is actually less of a...
That makes sense if you watch our videos.
It's less of a catastrophe than I feel like, okay, first off, nobody fucking cares about EULAs. This is a storm and teacup on Reddit. But the developers came out and they said, okay, look, you guys, there are places in the world where you have to verify the age of the person playing the game through a government ID in order to let them play a game. And in that case, we would request this. We do not store this data. We take it, we look at it, we verify it, we delete it. It is done. Now, of course, you get into this is NetEase and can you trust them when they say that or whatever?
That's every company ever,
right?
Because
Microsoft
made the what the hell was it called? The thing you were telling me about, where it's you can go back to see what your thing was.
The weird flashback,
but it's only stored on your like this one
locally,
thing. Like we swear, and you're like, I don't trust you.
So I mean, the honest thing is that there's probably
like if Chris called me and was like, "Hey, I need your ID real quick. I swear I'll delete it."
Right.
I would still be like, no, because that would be weird as shit.
Yeah, I don't know. One of these things. It's like people are really sloppy with their data online anyway.
That's true,
and they do hit agree to every fucking EULA without reading them. I don't ever fucking read them.
That's why the South Park episode is so like has aged amazingly.
Yeah,
because like that's a genuine thing that somebody could probably do if they could get away with
There's
it.
probably all kinds of fucking legalese in there that can let them do whatever the fuck they want to, and you've already hit agree onto it. And so the idea that like once human is the mustache twirling villain that's going to be fucking what looking at your driver's license, and it's like my right to privacy. I'm like, bitch, you are online.
Yeah.
Like, do you know that just browsing websites online, your privacy is fucking gone?
You've also accepted a lot of other ones that are way worse.
Like, unless you're playing Once Human through a fucking Tor browser connected to 8 VPNs, I don't want to hear about your fucking privacy.
That's true.
So yeah. Let's see.
90% of you have podcasts now where you just tell everybody with everything.
Speaking of Michael and Jeff's greatest hits, let's talk about The Last Descendant.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Which has been accused of basically ripping off Destiny. So
in more ways than just its whole game premise,
like in iconography and like specific icons for like powers. This is a thread on Twitter from Paul Tassi. There's also like wait, no, that was a different thread.
That's just straight up the fucking like, so a lot of those are just the same fucking thing.
There's also another one that I've seen that was like that was comparing like guns. Like,
oh really?
And they aren't exactly they aren't quite. These icons are pretty close.
Some of them are like dead on, and some of them are just like, okay, they're just close enough to, because one of them is just a hand,
right?
Being a hand, like that one, I'm like, okay, that one you could probably be fine. But the one on the top, the two top one,
like these,
those are just the same fucking symbol,
right? So yeah, there's some in here that are more egregious than others. I wish I could find that thread. I need to get my Twitter.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just somebody took it down or something.
I swear it was in here. But
we keep finding ads for these things as we're like finding things that are like, fuck this thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's so there's an argument that you could make that says that like a lot of these icons are, well, first off, Bungie itself is not immune to. There was a huge criticism of them lifting art assets like 2 years ago,
like that long ago. Yeah.
What was the one where they had the fucking Kekistan flag? Oh, like slightly altered in one of their armors or something.
Oh, yeah. Like that was a weird one.
Like some of this stuff are icons that obviously were like public domain things that then were altered a little bit, and so
yeah, the hand one is very much like that specific hand like shape icon.
Yeah,
I've seen in like every fucking game.
Yeah,
that has like a hand related thing of some kind.
On the other hand, like this is probably not actionable, but it's not great either.
No,
I mean, The Last Descendant was just a third-person Destiny ripoff anyway.
Even from the story, we were making fun of it.
Yeah. So, like...
That was the one with Commander Greg, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was Commander Greg.
I can't get over Commander Greg.
It was Commander Greg, and where you paid like $20 for the big booby bunny girl costume where she's got like... I don't know. She got like a whole thing. Wait, there was an update to this today.
Oh, fun.
Oh, let's see. What does it say? Nexon said it will change the assets at the heart of the plagiarism allegations. Quote, the first Descendant, as a looter shooter game, was developed with a deep affection and respect for other games in the genre. Destiny 2, being a globally renowned looter shooter game, is also personally admired and respected by the team, served as an inspiration. We've taken the concerns raised seriously and decided to make adjustments to ensure the imagery that may appear similarly clearly, blah, blah, blah. So they're going to change some stuff. Yeah,
they're just like, okay, we've been caught. We need to make some changes.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, if you care about that.
That's fucking crazy.
Let's see. On the upside, maybe, of people changing stuff, this is pretty fun. So apparently when you're playing Helldivers 2, if you get shot up into the air by like an explosion or something, and you do an emote, it will keep you from taking damage when you hit the ground.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. There was like an example of this, of somebody... somebody getting blasted up in the air. This is like a Twitter video of somebody getting blasted up into the air, and then when they're in the air, they do a like they do the handshake emote, like to put out their hand for another person. And then they just kind of like stay in that pose. They hit the ground. They don't die. They get back up, and everything's cool.
I love everything about that.
This is I've seen similar videos of like people doing like the hug emote in the middle of an orbital strike, and that emote like keeps you from taking damage. And so it's like two people like fist bumping as like the orbital strike, like they time it and stuff. And so this is like a known bug, but the fun part about this is apparently the new CEO, Shams Georgiani, the new CEO of Helldivers 2, is like pointed this out on Twitter and is like, I would like to keep this in the game if possible. It's not hurting anybody, and I think it's hilarious, and I think our players really like it. Like,
no, that's the type of glitch that you're like, this is just for the fuck of it. Like you said, like I love the picture of a guy flying in the air and doing the hug,
right?
Just like spreading his arms as he flies in the air.
Yeah,
it's just so fucking funny to me.
Yeah,
or like somebody trying to like flex, because there's the flex one, I think, too.
Oh, right.
Just flexing him in there.
Somebody in that Twitter thread, they responded saying like, yeah, this is why I keep the salute emote on all the time, is the idea of like you're just fucking like flying through the air, but then the Helldiver 2 like has to salute Super Earth on the way to, oh, hey, I survived.
I love that.
Praise Super Earth.
I love that. That's perfect. You should, they absolutely should keep that glitch.
So yeah, I hope so too. Some people are a little salty about the idea that like by pointing attention to it that it might end up getting it fixed, but I don't know, man. As the CEO of the company and that head dev guy seems like he's got a sense of humor too.
Well,
so
that's the fun thing about that team, is that they see something and they're like, we don't want to be the fun police.
Yeah,
like that's the fun thing about glitches, that some of the most famous things that happened in a game was a glitch that somebody didn't fix, or it was a glitch that like happened midway and they wanted to fix it, and then they just never got around to it.
Yeah.
There's one glitch that I never got to see that everybody kept talking about, was in Spider-Man 2. I don't even know how people made it happen, but if something would happen that would cause the character model to disappear, and it was just a cube.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a white cube.
Yep.
And people were just swinging, and people were calling it Spider Cube and making like memes. I'm like, I never saw Spider Cube. I never got to join, and I played that game from day one.
Now I'm sad.
I was very bummed.
Let's see. In other Sony news, Sony has teamed up with Pocket Pair to make a Power World merch division.
So this is weird to me.
Yeah.
Not because there's somebody's trying to expand Power World, but because Microsoft spent a lot of money on making Power World mostly known on the Xbox.
Yeah. What's also weird is that this is Sony Music as opposed to like Sony like PlayStation division.
Okay.
So yeah, they've teamed up. Okay, but I have a theory about why that is.
Okay.
So, so first off...
Is it because Phil Spencer's not much of a musician?
No. No. I think what it has to do with is the fact, okay, Sony is based in Japan. So you've got a Japanese company and a Japanese company, right?
Oh,
yeah. To date, Nintendo has not fucked with Pocket Pair. Now, the idea of upping the ante of making plush versions of PALs that people can buy, which is the first thing they want to do in the store, is like, well, this specifically is getting a lot closer to a second revenue stream that that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company have, right?
Yes.
So, but what you have to remember is that if it's Pocket Pair and Sony in Japan, then if the lawsuit comes, it will come in Japan. And Japan has different copyright laws
That's true.
than the United States.
This is why there's so many doujins out there.
Yeah. Well, no, I specifically, I went back to that Moon channel that I watch because they did a whole thing about Mother 3 and why it can't come to the United States.
That's right.
And it's because the United States, like Japan's copyright system is Japan doesn't have the same like precedent. Like in the United States, when you settle a case, it creates a precedent that can then be applied to further cases down the line. And the United States, like precedent for intellectual property rights is actually a lot different. Like we're in some cases harsher and in some cases more lenient, but in Japan it's like individual cases are settled by the judgment of an individual judge in court. And Nintendo is really sketchy about going to court in cases where they may not win. Because they started their life with Donkey Kong, right?
Yeah.
And they watched MGM kill themselves trying to sue Nintendo for the rights to Kong and a monkey. And MGM got slapped down for that, and it fucked up their whole copyright. So, like, Nintendo, one of the reasons they're so litigious is because of that. They're very nervous about copyright infringement.
I never even thought about that. I never thought that the idea that the Donkey Kong lawsuit made them so paranoid that they're now like the hurt people kind of idea.
Yes.
Never considered that.
Yeah, because, and that's one of the reasons why they are so litigious about people horning in on their copyrights, is because they saw first thing. Nintendo was almost destroyed by that copyright, by that lawsuit.
That's why they named Kirby after their lawyer.
Go. There's a book, the book about Nintendo that I listened to on Audible. There's a book about the history of Nintendo that's really interesting, that goes back to all the way to their trading card company days and stuff like that. But I think that's the reason why this happened, because they're a Japanese company. They want to do business with a Japanese company in Japan. Sure, they'll sign a deal to put it on the Xbox, right?
Yeah.
But like, this is a merchandising deal. This is different.
I never thought about that. No, that makes more sense.
So, yep. Anyway, hopefully soon I'll be able to buy a Depresso plush.
Maybe they'll make
Also, Aniplex is going to be the one. They're going through Aniplex's storefront. So they've got some hitters over there in Japan where it's like, I don't know, man. Sony Music and Aniplex, like, I'm not saying that team up is as powerful as Nintendo, but these are not just like, yeah, we signed a deal with Joe's fucking Mercho company and we're putting them in all the 7-Elevens in Tokyo. Like,
I bet you they'll make one of those body pillows of that one Pokemon that wants to just fuck.
Oh yeah, Lavetta. Yeah. God, why do I know that?
Because you played a lot of that game.
I did play a lot of.
That's why I didn't say its name. I just know what it looks like.
Let's see. Speaking of Nintendo, sort of tangentially, you were talking about this last week. Riot Games apparently so weird. Riot Games is making their own, like, basically Grand Blue Fantasy or Blaze Blue kind of style fighting game right now. But apparently they were also looking into making a Smash Brothers style game at one point. And apparently, like, when they talked about it, they'd spent a lot of time with it in R&D, and then they looked at, like, kind of how Multiverses did when it launched, and part of it was, and then decided not to release it, decided to cancel it based on kind of like how that was received.
Yeah.
And I think that I've talked a lot of shit about a lot of companies. I end up talking a lot of sugar about Riot for some reason. I think that's really smart to be like, to keep looking at these companies that keep bashing their head up against the Smash Brothers market and going like, I don't know if this is a market that you could just break into, because a lot of people have bashed their heads open trying to get into that market.
Everybody has tried to make that. You'd be surprised how many people have actually have tried to get into that market, because a lot of people only remember PlayStation All-Stars was one of the biggest failure ones. And Nickelodeon All-Star, Brawl or whatever. Mm-hmm. But there was a lot of them. There's a fucking
Brawlhalla.
There was
that indie Steam one that had like Shovel Knight and shit.
No, I'm thinking
like,
even earlier than that. There was a Ninja Turtles one for the Wii. There was a Shrek one. There's an Onimusha one.
Oh shit.
There's a Beautiful Joe one that was a party game.
Right.
There was a lot of them. There was a lot of people who were like, I can make a Smash Brothers game. But what if we twisted it? Or like, some of them were like, what if we make a twist of it, which is what the Beautiful Joe one did.
Right.
But some of them were like, what if it's just a Smash Brothers game? And people were just like, no, I'm good. Because they just weren't. Because we were talking about this off mic, where like the reason Smash Brothers works is because of its characters and the novelty of them fighting each other, which is why the PlayStation All-Stars and Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl and Multiverses had the most potential, because it has the same basic premise, which is the idea of, what if you had all these characters that normally wouldn't have never interacted, now interact in some way. And that's why, it's fun to watch Captain Falcon punch Mario in the face.
Right.
Or for some reason watch Nathan Drake shoot Raiden with a machine gun. Like those kinds of things. But the problem is none of them understood the simple fact is that people just want to have fun with these things, and they have to feel great. Because Multiverses feels great, but it's monetized to hell.
Yep.
Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl is like, has all the other stuff, but it doesn't feel great
very
to
good.
me.
Yeah.
PlayStation All-Stars had a lot going for it, but it had the worst fucking way of winning twists of any of them.
Yeah.
But it felt great, which is why it was that much more frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you were so close. You were right there. And you were like, but we don't want to just be compared to Smash Brothers. Like, no, you should have.
Yeah.
You stupid idiots.
And then everybody, myself included, forgets Brawlhalla exists.
Yes.
Like, that is Ubisoft Smash Brothers.
Every now and then there'll be like an ad where they're like, we added a skin of like Avatar to the thing, or we added a skin of like Adventure Time, and you're like, cool, I want to play those things. Like, yeah, but since you never touch Brawlhalla, you won't get access to like any of the shit unless you play forever or give us a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, why do I want to do that?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a good decision on their part. It was codenamed Pool Party. I kind of like that.
That's a fun code name.
I like that.
But it wouldn't have worked in my opinion.
So I'll tell you who did make a fighting game, and that's Valve. So in the latest season of Dota 2, there's like a little like 5-person fighting game, and they made it. They made little backgrounds. There's like a little place where you can select your fighter. They've got like special moves and stuff, and it's kind of in this weird like missing frames, like kind of herky-jerky style, but it's just a full-on fighting game inside of Dota that you can play for free.
Well, it reminds me of
till the season's over.
When I was younger, there used to be a lot of flash game fighting games. And it has that exact kind of look, like you said, like kind of missing frames type animation.
Yeah,
because a lot of them looked like this back in the day.
And I don't know if that's just like the YouTube channel that maybe they've got a really bad system or something. But
no, I think that's just how it looks. Because like, there's a lot of moments where, it's one of those things where like if you did this as like just for the fuck of it, you weren't going to go that detailed with it.
Right. You were going to try to make it run like at like 120 frames per second or something.
Like if you're going to go that detailed with it, then you were just going to make an actual legit fighting game,
right? Kind
of thing.
So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting these MOBAs that have like
these are probably just like pictures of their normal movements in the game.
Well, it's interesting these MOBAs that all have like really strong characters and strong character design. Like the idea of using that for something else that's not just the MOBA, is interesting. And I don't know. I'll be interested to see if that other one does well. If the Riot Games one, I forgot. I read an article that talked about how to pronounce it, and I forgot already. Twexo or something like that, how it goes. So, speaking of beating stuff up, Arc System Works is working on a new Double Dragon game. It's going to be a 3D Double Dragon. They got a little announcement trailer that dropped.
I didn't realize there was a trailer for it.
Yeah, it's very short. It's very small. It's just kind of like a throwback. It shows the two brothers. And they look really generic.
Yeah, I don't like their designs because they're somehow more generic than what they already were to begin with.
Yep, it doesn't have a lot of style to it. What's interesting, though, about this, it's also kind of stiff. Like the animation is a little stiff. So what's interesting is that the title, the articles that came out last week were like, Arc System Works is making a new fighting game. But Michael, when I got to the end of this trailer, I noticed that at the bottom you have Arc System Works, but right next to it you have Ukes.
What the fuck?
So Ukes is the company that made all the WWE games for a long time.
Oh, no.
And they also made Earth Defense Force Iron Rain, and I think they worked on the AEW game. And I'm like, stiff character animation. It doesn't look very good. I've seen this before.
Just give me Double Dragon Neon 2, you stupid idiots.
Yeah.
That's all any of us want. you're like, oh, look at this cool 3D thing. I'm like, you have none of the style or any of the fun that Double Dragon Neon gave everybody.
It looks a lot like Shenmue to me.
Well, my issue is that they're like, what if we made everybody realistically kind of look like? It reminds me of like the Double Dragon movie more than it fucking reminds me of the Double Dragon series.
It doesn't look great.
It doesn't look very good. And like I said, Bimmy and Jimmy look so fucking weird.
They're so generic.
Yeah, they don't they look like they came from a different game, and somebody's like, what if we just change the colors, and now they're the Double Dragon team?
I mean, okay, but listen, Michael, listen. We had that really good Double Dragon game last year.
We did.
And I think we also had Bimmy and Jimmy were in River City Girls 2.
Yeah.
So, like, we've had some good Double Dragons recently. Like, you can't win them all.
we did get the weird Double Dragon 4 that happened not that long ago, too.
That was made by Arc System Works.
No, it was made by the original people.
Sorry. It was part of the...
It was, I don't remember. Yeah, because I remember when it came out, I was like, this is kind of weird that you decided to do it this way, but it's not bad.
Yeah, no, wait. No, it says Arc System Works acquired Double Dragon IP in 2015 and later released Double Dragon 4.
There it is, though. It says
from the developers of the original
game.
So
yeah.
I think this is Ukes, not Arc.
No, it's Ukes because I think the idea is that Arc just has just been owning the rights this whole time.
Yeah,
and so people just think because before this, anybody who had like $20 can make a Double Dragon game, which is how we got that really bad Xbox One.
Just really briefly, Michael. People who make websites, I don't ever want to see notifications from your website.
No.
I never want that. And when you ask me whether I want it, it makes me want to go to your website less. Just FYI.
Which is always funny when you go to
fuck you guys.
When you go to one and it's just like, do you want notifications of just like this one website that you found on a Google search? You're like, no.
It's a news story.
I don't want any of these
I click directly into the news story. Use your fucking head.
The ones that crack me up are when the porn sites. So you want notifications for the porn sites? You're like, no. What's wrong with you people?
Let's see. Now we got to go super fast because we got 5 minutes. Let's see how many of these we can get through. Boom. The head of Sonic Team, Takahashi Iizuka, wants to make a Sonic the Hedgehog role-playing game at some point before he ends his career.
I'm amazed that hasn't been a thing yet.
There was the BioWare game for the DS that came out.
I guess that's true.
But other than that, there hasn't been. And he has said that he's always wanted to make one. He's been doing this for 30 years, and he's always wanted to make an RPG and hasn't gotten to yet.
Poor bastard. Let him do that thing. Let him make his RPG, guys.
Yeah.
Sonic fans really want different things.
30 years he's been cranking out the same fucking Sonic game. Let him cook.
Yeah.
Let him cook. Speaking of cooking, apparently BioShock 4 is recruiting like crazy on LinkedIn right now. So
that's fun.
Because you remember that, like, 2K still has BioShock, and they started putting together like the early team to like try doing another BioShock game without Ken Levine, and apparently they're like staffing up. So I think they're out of the prototype phase. The rumor is that it is going to be set in an Antarctic base. So we've had one underwater and one in the sky, and this would be like tundra ice.
As long as there's a lighthouse, man, that's all we need. There's always a lighthouse.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you like? Here's the thing. On the one hand, I would say to myself, BioShock without Ken Levine, what's even the point? And then I remember, wait a minute, Jeff, you really liked BioShock 2.
Yeah, that's BioShock 2.
And BioShock Infinite was kind of a mess. So maybe BioShock without Ken Levine is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you got a point, brain. So
that's the thing, is the fun thing about Ken Levine that a lot of people forget is that there's like 1,000 versions of BioShock Infinite.
Yep.
And the one that got released is the one that people have heavily criticized for yeyears now.
Well, and then
there's so many things wrong with that story.
And then my brain.
He's making his game now.
He's making his game. Yeah. The Judas, which just looks like BioShock in space.
BioShock in space.
And I'm like, okay, fine, cool. You guys make BioShock 4, and he makes BioShock in space, and we could all be like, God, the even-numbered BioShocks are okay.
We get the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
We get BioShock 2 and BioShock 1, hopefully.
Yeah.
And not BioShock Infinite again.
There you go. Bada bing, bada boom. Dragon Age is being real coy about whether or not there are penises in it.
Hang dong, goddammit.
Yep. Apparently, in an interview, as part of it was a Game Informer interview, they asked about the nudity that was going to be in the game, and they said that what did he say? the studio wants fans to discover for themselves how much nudity is in this game. Because, after Baldur's Gate 3, everybody's like, are there dongs in this game? Like, I've seen dongs in an RPG that I played. I want to see the dongs now, right? Like,
they've opened Pandora's box.
Right.
And people no longer want just the loincloth look anymore.
Yes.
Like, I want to see my dong.
Titties are not enough anymore. We want to see full cracks and full hanging schlongs. So then the idea that you do an interview and you're just like, well, are there penises in your video game? It's like, I think we'd like to let our players find out for themselves. And it's like, what?
I like the idea that he says that and he's texting the developers. How fast can we put dong in this game?
Put them in there. Take off the loincloths.
We need dong, like now.
And the thing is that it's like, I was thinking about this, and not to go too far down this really weird rabbit hole, but like, yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 had, like, you could customize your character's genitalia. There wasn't like full-on porno scenes where you saw the genitalia interact with other genitalia. So I'm not entirely sure what the point was outside of like, look at that. My character's got a swinging schwang.
Well, that's how it was with every game that's done it. Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
There's not a point where you rip your dick off and use it as a weapon or something. Same with that Conan game that also had the ability to make your dong longer.
I guess people just put a lot of emphasis on like, I really need to customize my character's dong to look like my dong.
Exactly.
So
and they're using quotey fingers when they say my dog.
Right. Oh boy. Okay.
Like a baby's arm, they said.
Star Wars Outlaws apparently is not going to have huge maps full of icons. This is a recent interview. They said that your character now, apparently though, that doesn't mean that like there aren't a whole bunch of things to do on the map, but I think that Ubisoft has, and in my opinion correctly, learned that like opening the map and seeing that many icons is a little bit off-putting to players. So what they're doing is they have like a fog of war, and then as you kind of explore, you will find things, and then, missions will come up and you will get them, and they will put a waypoint on the map of where you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
But it's not just going to be like, open the map, go to the... What they're saying is that we're no longer going to go to a really high place and hit a button to synchronize and then get a billion fucking icons of things to do. And I'm like, good. On the other hand, they did say that the first moon that you go to in Star Wars Outlaws is like 4 times the size of the Assassin's Creed Odyssey map.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like, well, there's more than one planet in this game, you guys. I know you've already said that. So
well, it helps that you have like really fast vehicles probably too. So
yeah.
Whereas, you don't really have that in Odyssey.
For fuck's sake, Michael, I'm excited about this game and I really don't want to be.
It's because it doesn't have a single Jedi in the trailer so far.
Speaking of movies and TV shows, there was a Horizon Zero Dawn series that was in development.
Yes.
It has been canceled.
Also not surprised.
At least for the moment, and a lot of this has to do with the fact that it was being made by the guy that made the Umbrella Chronicles.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. I actually read like half of a fucking Variety article about this or Rolling Stone article. The guy, what's his name? Steve Blackman was the showrunner there, has had a whole bunch of toxic work environment, talks shit, abuses people, fires people without cause, yada, 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 whole 9 yards. He denies it. Independent investigation said, meh, but it wasn't fully independent. Y'all go look up on this, but the fallout of this is basically like he was going to run a Horizon series and is no longer going to be doing that. Whether they revive it or not, who knows? For my 2 cents at this point, I feel like stop trying to make Horizon Zero Dawn like work like fetch, right? Like it's not that big. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but you guys treat it like it's like the Avengers, and it's not.
See, Jeff, what they're gonna do is they're gonna make it a Lego show now.
Yeah,
because now they have all the Lego assets.
Okay, we gotta save some of these for next time. Even though I think I'm going to cut some of them. And last but not least, before you though take a break, Bloodborne is not on the PC, but it is getting closer. How, you might ask? And this was a developer that is making a PS4 emulator posted showing like the ROM for it basically launching. It's all like red tinted and fucked up, and it's not like working correctly, but it is at least like posting the ROMs.
It's like as if you played it on a Virtual Boy.
A Virtual Boy, yeah, it looks like that. And then when they try to do anything, it immediately crashes. But it's closer.
It's closer.
So Sony, balls in your court. If you want that money,
it's going to happen one way or the other.
You want that money that's sitting there on the table. You just come and grab it.
Either you give us the ability to give us you money, or the other way around.
Right. Yeah, you can either shut up and take my money, or I will find a way.
Yeah, life finds a way.
Yep. With that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We come back, we got a few more stories and then trailers. Stick around. And we're back. And fear not, ladies and gentlemen, because Michael and I just survived our encounter with this giant fuck-off bug in my backyard.
It was terrifying.
I guess it was
10 feet tall.
Some kind of big-ass wasp or something back there. Like, way bigger than a normal one. It freaked me out. Anyway, we're back, and we have trailers left to go, but we have a couple of quick stories to get through first. One, I'm sure this will make some people happy. I don't care, but whatever. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster has been confirmed to have, there was some licensed music that was in the original Dead Rising.
Oh, okay.
And people were worried that it might not be coming back for the remaster. Specifically, there is there's a track called Gone Guru that played when the Psychos showed up or something.
It's become a meme since this news came out, ironically enough, too.
Okay. But yeah.
Whenever it played, I kept seeing, my favorite one was that King of the Hill one where he goes in that room with the kid that's that freaks him out, and it's just and then the song just starts playing. He's like, "Good Lord."
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar enough with the game to really know, but apparently
I'm not either.
It's a big deal. So
well, I'm happy for because it's the issue that I had. I remember I mentioned this to you before with the Crazy Taxi re-releases. They're like, whenever they re-release Crazy Taxi, I'm like, great, awesome. Where is the Offspring in this? They're like, no. Then fuck off. So games without the music that it came out with are garbage.
Yeah. Let's see, and also last story here. This week, Xbox updated. Well, they finally got their Xbox Cloud Gaming working on Kindle Fire Sticks.
Oh, fun!
So if you've got a Fire Stick, you can log into your Xbox account and just play it there, which is a better move, honestly, than what it was on certain Samsung TVs built into the OS. There, it's better to have a way to put a stick in. I still wonder. I really want to know if there's anybody that's listening to this that is like, this is the way that I play video games. It's just on my Fire Stick.
I remember whenever they talked about stuff like this, the Fire Stick would heat up massively, though.
Yeah.
Because it's just not designed for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to have the same issues, I bet you.
Almost certainly. All right, with that, let's go into trailers. Speaking of fire, we were talking shit about Overwatch 2. Well, this month, the latest season of Overwatch 2 added in a bunch of Transformer skins.
Yeah, it did.
So this was teased before. It's Bastion has a Bumblebee skin. That new lady with the sun thing,
I already forgot her name,
has an RC skin. And what's his face? Reinhardt has a big Optimus Prime skin. And then Ramatra has what I can only describe as a generic Decepticon skin. If that is supposed to be Megatron, then somebody fucked the fuck up, because it looks nothing at all like Megatron.
It's got a Megatron head, and that's kind of about it.
Barely.
I think at one point he shoots something, and it causes the guns to appear on his arm.
Maybe. I don't know.
A hot second, but the problem is, it's like you said, it just seems to be random Decepticon number 5 or whatever.
Because the other ones are really good looking.
Yeah.
Like when Bastion does his ultimate, he turns into a Bumblebee car, right, with the gun on the top. And they had a couple of really fun trailers. And yeah, the Autobot side looks great. And then you get to Ramatra, and it's just like, look, man, I don't know why you picked him, but he doesn't have anything that makes him look like Megatron.
No.
Everybody else.
Or any specific Decepticon I know of.
Yeah. It's very weird. It's very strange. I don't know. I would have rather have seen him be Starscream, so that he had the gray and the red and the blue.
Why is there only 3 Autobots? Or why is there 3 Autobots but one random Decepticon?
He could have been a Constructicon maybe with the green.
You should have had 2 other Decepticons to have fun with the idea.
He could have had like a Grimlock type of thing going on. Like,
there's so many things you could have done with that. And here's the thing, Overwatch. I don't care how many awesome skin ideas you come out with. I ain't fucking coming back. You gotta fucking quit it, guys.
But Michael, the Autobots and maybe 6v6 in the future. Dude, like
Optimus Reinhardt is something I would have used like crazy in Overwatch 1.
Yep.
And now I'm just sad because it's like, that's so cool looking.
No,
but I will never ever play that fucking game.
The sad part is that if this skin had been added to Overwatch 1, you would have been playing a lot of Overwatch 1 to try to get this out of a random box.
Oh, 100%.
And so you would have ended up playing the game that they want you to play. So, yeah.
God, it just frustrates me because it's like, look how cool this is. Like, great, fucking stop it.
It's like when they put a really cool skin in Rainbow Six Siege, and you're just like, well, that's good. Like, I'm happy. I'm gonna let you finish, dog. But like, I don't want to play your game.
Well, I think of that old Dipper meme where he's holding the paper and he's like, this is worthless.
Yeah. Speaking of incredibly worthless crossovers, Asphalt 9 Legends, which is a racing game that's on the Xbox and a bunch of places, has a My Hero Academia collaboration where they have car skins based on a bunch of the different characters from My Hero Academia. And I wanted to put this out here just to see Michael's face, and you guys should see it because it's totally worth it.
What the fuck? Sorry, I've been mouthing what the fuck this whole time so I can let Jeff finish.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt him.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why?
It's a racing game.
Why is this a thing?
With My Hero Academia skins on the cars.
I admit the Midoriya like lightning thing looks really cool.
Yeah.
And the Bakugo like thing looks kind of cool.
Yep.
But I could give less of a shit about the rest of it.
But Michael, Froppy. There's a Froppy car.
Oh my god.
There's a Froppy car. I don't know. I just put it in here as a joke. Like,
this is fucking. I thought it was a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Well, normally you would see skins like this in Forza as like things people made,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Like, but this is like an official collaboration trailer thing, and I was like, okay.
That means you guys who make those things need to step up and make one where Midoriya is making out with Bakugo. just because they're never going to release that one.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought about looking into what the actual skins look like, and then I decided I didn't care. So, let's see. Here's another inscrutable crossover, Michael. Gundam Breaker 4 as a Pac-Man crossover.
That's very strange.
Where you can play in like a Pac-Man like maze with your Gundam, and you beat up like teddy bears that are like reminiscent of the ghosts. And like there's a big Pac-Man background. You get like Pac-Man decals and like the ghost decals, and there's like cherries and
you
bells.
You collect Haros instead of the power pellets.
And then at the end there's a giant golden RX-78 that's like your main boss. It's like the big Pac-Man, I guess. Question mark.
He's Pac-Man colored. Yeah.
Yep.
I forgot the name of the mobile suits those bears are from, because they're like an actual mobile suit, but they just have bear heads because they're it was like a very popular Gunpla mod people would do.
Oh, okay.
And then so it became very like reminiscence of that. I forgot what the actual thing is. I can't remember what it's called.
It's just every time Namco puts Pac-Man in a thing, I'm like, man, I just don't care about Pac-Man. Like,
I really don't.
I really don't give a shit about Pac-Man. Bryce and I played their Battle Royale game that they put out on the Switch.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't care about it then, and I don't care about it now. So, yeah.
I just noticed that Gundam has a bunch of, like, Pac-Man, like
livery
decals and stuff on it.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, okay, how about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I know at least one of us cares about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, I very much care about it.
They announced in a trailer that the Splintered Fate game that comes out next week is going to have local co-op.
Yay.
So you can do couch co-op with it, which is honestly a good move. I don't understand why I wouldn't have had local co-op on the Apple TV unless it was just too low-powered of a system.
Well, I don't know how the Apple TV thing worked is the thing.
Yeah. Well, I just downloaded the game and ran it on Apple TV, so... but yeah, it's coming out this week, and well, it's coming the 17th. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, there's this one and the other Ninja Turtles game that's coming out soon. That's based on the movie.
Oh, okay. But yeah, hey, It's supposed to be like Hades, so couch co-op Hades.
That sounds great, actually.
Maybe
that sounds really fun.
It does sound like the sort of thing that could eat up a bunch of hours. So good news for everybody who likes it when Michael and I play games together, because I'm not going to play a Dojo of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game and then make Michael not play it.
Yeah,
so
there's no way. Leonardo's going to fucking murder something.
Yeah. Let's see. Nintendo put out a very interesting trailer last week. I don't know if you saw this one, Michael.
I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
It's Emio, and it's like a guy in like a trench coat. It's kind of off focus with a like brown paper bag over his head with like a smiley face on it, and like kind of spookiness and a lot of like crackling. Like kind of weirdness.
Yeah, I heard there was something about the developer specifically that was apparently interesting about it, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, okay, so the thing is that it's been pretty well sussed out that like there's an interview with Bloober Team where they talked about how they were making something for Nintendo, something called Project M, and there's a pretty strong correlation that whatever this is, it is probably whatever Bloober Team is making for the Switch.
That makes sense. Project M, MEO.
Yeah.
That would make the most sense.
Which actually kind of makes me a little bit less excited than I was when I first saw it. But,
no, I get it. That's the thing. Like, I remember we were talking about Bloober Team not that long ago. Yeah. Because I thought they were a different team.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, that's not it at all. I was like, oh, well, now I'm 100% less excited than I was before.
Hopefully this isn't, hopefully it isn't bad. Hopefully it's good. I still want to believe. I got the fucking Fox Mulder poster, except it's just got the Bloober Team logo underneath instead of a UFO.
They can make good games, I assume.
I'm hoping that one day I'll play one of their games and then I'll end up not disliking it. So maybe Nintendo, this is one where Nintendo, like, you know, forced them to get their shit all the way together before they put it out. But who knows? I don't know. We don't know much more about it right now. Hopefully learn more in the future. Let's see. We got a reveal trailer for a game called Shift 87. Michael, apparently the spot the anomaly genre is starting to blow up a little bit.
Is it the same guy?
No, this is a different game, and it's like you're in a warehouse where you have to spot anomalies, not like a train. But the whole thing is, it's like you've been hired, like a Five Nights at Freddy's, to spot the anomalies that are in this office/warehouse.
Oh, that's fun.
But it's weird because you and I played Shinkansen Zero, and then Amanda and I played that other one that was also a train station train game by that one guy that made the one where you're in a train station. And then here's another one. This one is a little bit more. This is a little bigger, but the idea of kind of point out all of the anomalies is. I find it interesting that it seems like it's blowing up a little. I mean, it's like it's two. Which isn't a lot, but it's still weird that there are that many, like, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's a very easy concept where it's just like it's a fucking I Spy game.
Right.
It's a spot the difference game that like everybody knows how to play for the most part, but making it spooky somehow makes it that much more interesting.
Well, and then also like in a 3D space, right? They have all those crappy games where it's like find all the hidden bullshit in this picture, but here you're like walking around and there's weird shit, and then the idea where it's like. You have to spot the anomalies and you're never sure whether you spotted them all, and like it creates this like you scare yourself with the setup because you go through a place you've been before and you're like, is anything different? You're like, I don't even know. I gotta look at everything.
That was the thing. Some of the most mundane changes like made me and you freak out.
Yeah,
like when we walked in and they were like, that lady was not there before,
right? And
it's just some lady standing there.
Yeah,
she's not doing anything freaky or spooky or anything.
Yeah,
and then the weirdest one was the cart lady just looking at us.
Yeah,
and we were like, that's so mundane. So like a normal person would do that normally.
Yeah,
but you somehow in that exact moment it freaked both of us out.
Or you turn around and some lady has sewn herself into the chair.
Yeah,
and you're like, what the fuck?
Like you're like this is just fucking weird.
So I don't know. It's a little behind the scenes. I actually got a beta key for this game.
Oh, you did?
But I don't know if I'm not sure if it's like. Why does it need a beta?
That is weird. Why does an anomaly game need betas?
It's not exactly like you have to fine tune it, or that like there's a multiplayer. You don't have to have the tanks do more damage in this game. So
that's so weird.
Let's see. In other kind of weird games, we got the launch trailer for Lifeless Moon. I think. Did you and I talk about this, or was it Amanda and I?
We talk about a lot of moon stuff.
No, Amanda and I talked about this. This is from a company that made a bunch of like interactive exhibits for like museums. And then they apparently have taken a lot of their assets because it's all space stuff and then made this kind of weird, like you're on the moon, but then there's like a city and like weird geometry and like strange stuff. I'm not entirely sure what this game is. I actually bought it, but then we didn't play it. So maybe at some point we'll get a chance to play it, but it looks like kind of repurposing this edutainment company's assets into like, what if it was weird?
I actually really like that idea though. I love the idea. They're like, we got all this random fucking buildings and shit. What if we just made it fucking weird?
Yeah,
like that's the kind like people can't see it, but that was a really cool shot of like a giant guy.
Yeah. Well, but
especially
Michael,
since, like the astronaut's such a generic looking guy.
But Michael, when there was a giant guy and once human, you were just confused and
I was confused for a lot of reasons of what was going on in once human.
Yeah. So yeah, that's out. Let's see from there. Michael, did you watch the trailer for Black State?
I did actually.
Portal meets Metal Gear. And like when I say Portal, what I mean is that there's a part in this trailer where the guy like opens a door and it goes somewhere completely different. It doesn't go to like, it's like he's like in a house or something, and he opens up this door and it goes into like a train, and then when he goes through the door, he's like in a train, and then he comes out the other side of the train and he's like somewhere else. But and so there's like all this kind of question about like, you know, this kind of portal. This goes really well with the Spot the Anomaly stuff because you go on a train. But like, okay, Michael, here's the thing I wanted to ask you about. He comes at the other side to a military base, and we see a segment where it's kind of like a stealth action, sneaking around, like using takedowns and marking enemies. And it looks like they just fucking lifted the animations from Metal Gear Solid 5.
I know, that's exactly what it looks like.
It like actionably looks like they stole, except for the main character. He's got this really cool looking suit, and his face looks like shit. His haircut is dorky, and he looks like a dumb player one default character model from an MMO or something.
He looks really dumb, and also like the animations, because it's like it is an early build.
Yeah, and
like he doesn't really make facial movements,
right?
Which is why it looks so weird. And like I'm betting he'll look better as it goes on, but yeah, it's just. It looks like it wholesale took a lot of the Metal Gear Solid 5 movement stuff.
Like he gets spotted, and then he like is able to go into kind of a slow motion to shoot some people, and it's like that's what happens in Metal Gear Solid 5. Like the way he runs and the way he looks, like the length the camera is, and like
except for that one like takedown that he did a second ago.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool.
Put his feet up on that. I don't know. And then like the AI signals for reinforcements. So like there's some cool stuff in here. Like the graphics are nice, I think, just because it's in UE5.
Yeah.
And I'm not like I've played Winback. I'm not opposed to a Metal Gear like ripoff.
I was about to say, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm not going to play the game. I'm just saying I would rather it be like more subtle about stealing things,
right,
than what it's doing.
Right. Like I don't know. I'm worried that we might be dealing with a quantum error situation here.
Oh no, probably. Here's the thing: is that as the trailer progresses, more things happen where you're like, I don't really feel like this is exactly just the Metal Gear thing,
right?
Especially with that last thing where the guy shows up with the
minigun.
The minigun. I'm like, well, that's not really. Like that's not really what that type of game needs. Like,
right?
Guys with bigger guns. Like that's kind of the point of the game. Is it's mostly just normal guys, and the big guys are bosses. So I don't know. I want Metal Gear type things to exist. That's the reason I played Unmetal, which is that fucking Metal Gear satire game that came out. So I don't know. I'll give it a shot because there's a lot of weird imagery that makes me interested to see what's going on in it.
Yeah, it's hard to say because something like this could end up being really fucking terrible, or it could end up being a diamond in the rough. Like it could end up being something where you're like, oh holy shit, no, you gotta play this fucking crazy Metal Gear ripoff game. It's also, you know, Portal and Shinkansen Zero and like a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah,
so
like I'm legitimately interested to see what this game actually is when it comes out.
Yep, me too. Let's see from there. Did you watch this? I didn't know what this was.
Not.
Speaking of overwrought, dark and edgy, this is Sonic X Shadow Generations: Dark Beginnings. This is a 2-minute long animated thing where Shadow is talking to a like anime girl. They're in like Dr. So-and-so's research
Maria.
lab, and then there's like a bunch of paramilitary guys attack. And it's like, you gotta go help him, Shadow. You gotta help the doctor. And then no, not paramilitary guys. This other like weird, the robot Sonic, not that robot Sonic, but a different
robot thing.
Robot thing. And it's like animating around, like exploding everything. And so I was looking at this. I was like, is this like the intro to that game that's coming out? No, Michael. This is a teaser for a 3-part animated series that will serve as the prequel to that game that's coming out, but will not be contained within it. And I'm like, man, somebody spent some money on making fucking anime-ass Shadow the Hedgehog. Like,
that is so strange.
This is the part where, for me, a little bit, Michael, it's like this is where Sonic the Hedgehog goes all the way back around to taking itself so seriously that it becomes fucking hilarious.
No, yeah, because there's a shot that happened right now that it took me out because I always forget that Shadow doesn't run fast.
He skates. Yep.
And so it's this serious dark shot, but he's skating like
with him rollerblading as hard as he can.
He looks like fucking the Flash in the Snyder verse run, where it's like the stupidest fucking thing you've ever seen in your life, but it's a super serious moment, and it's so fucking funny because of it.
Yeah. Also, I can't get over when they put the Sonics in with regular people. They look so stupid and ridiculous, true. And I just,
it's one of the reasons people were turned off by Sonic 08, because he kisses that woman.
Yeah.
You're like, what? No, don't do this.
Yeah, this is Sonic X Shadow Generations Start beginning an upcoming 3-episode prologue animation that will be available in fall of 2024. So there you go.
I wonder if we'll see Maria get shot again.
Speaking of anime as shit, we got the story prologue trailer for Metaphor ReFantazio. This is a full-on, like, just animated setup for the game.
Oh, okay.
So part of the game that we've known about before, you know what? Oh, I'm a little bit of an impasse. If you don't want to know anything, skip forward 2 minutes, okay? Part of what we know about the game is that the king is dead, and this basically goes over, like...
Because Shadow the Hedgehog killed him.
Yeah, it's because Shadow roller skated in there and killed him. No, it shows like this obviously is the prologue, so it's not like a secret or anything.
Yeah.
I'm only being coy about it because like people might want to look for themselves, but it's like this is like the animated intro for what would be like a Persona game. What I'm surprised about, Michael, is it is insanely violent.
Yeah, holy shit. There's a lot of blood happening right now, guys.
Like, I'm watching people get really rocked. And then what's funny is that we watch somebody rock somebody. And then afterwards, there's like this whole council of elders that are like, who could have killed this guy? And I'm like, oh, I know, but it's that irony where you know, but the audience doesn't.
It's the Ace Attorney opening where like, we saw who murdered that guy, but the difference is I'm not, this isn't an Ace Attorney game.
Also, there's some fucking weird character designs. I don't know who this person is, but they got some fucking weird glasses.
Well, it's funny because you have like normal ass looking guy on the right, elf person, and then like giant armored guy, and nobody looks like
that guy's got wings. That guy's got fucking weird sunglasses on. That guy looks like his face is like stitched onto his face or something.
I can't. It's weird. Like that's what I like about it, but it does make it really funny.
I like. What I like about it is what I've liked about Metaphor ReFantazio so far is that, or Fantazo. I keep forgetting if there's an IO in there or not, but Fantazio, yes, Fantazio, is that it's a medieval fantasy world, but it's completely different. Like, it doesn't look like, it's not a Tolkien world, it's not a D&D world, it's not Dark Souls, it's like it's its own thing. But it looks very, it's so interesting to think that it's like, what, for every like 3 Persona games that this team makes, that they're like, okay, now you can go make whatever weird dumb shit you guys have been talking about for the last 3 years, like Catherine or Metaphor ReFantazio, and they get to just go do whatever kind of craziness they want. So
it's clearly that guy, guys. You're all in a room where the guy's saying all this shit.
Who could have killed him?
That was my issue with that Pokemon game. We're like, meet this professor. He's really nice. Like, we should kill everyone. You're like, isn't he great? Like, fuck that guy.
Yeah. We got the launch trailer for Trails Through Dawnbreak, which came out on the PlayStation last month or last week. Last week. Michael, I had to look this up. This is a PlayStation 4 game that came out in Japan in 2021.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And then it was released. It was actually released on the PS4. And then it was released on the PS5 in Japan in 2022, as well as Windows in 2023 and Nintendo Switch in 2024 in Japan. But now, in July of 2024, we're finally getting it on the US, at least in the PS5.
That's interesting.
Or actually, also Windows, also the Switch, also the PlayStation 4.
So is this an RPG or what the fuck's happening?
It's part of the Legend Heroes, right? Or Legend series, like or wait, what is it? No, Trails. It's part of the Trails series.
Oh, okay.
Because this is the one that is in like a big city where you play as like a magic cop. And so that's why he's turning into crazy.
I'm gonna just rider kick that guy.
Shit. And like, yeah. I don't know. They put out a remaster of like the first one of these, I think, or something a little while back. But
I've never heard of these things.
Yep. It's got some kind of like hybrid real-time combat system. People like Trails a lot.
Good for you guys.
I liked, what was it? Dawn of Arise or Tales of Arise or whichever that one was.
There's so many of these things, it's hard to remember the names of them all.
Yeah, some of them are connected. I don't know. Some of them seem like they're not entirely connected. But yeah. Anyway, it's out now, so yeah, go check it out if you're into that stuff. Let's see. Speaking of RPGs, Punch Club 2 is getting an expansion pack where you fight. Do you like the movie Real Steel? You get to train a robot boxer to box other robots and also people and also other stuff.
Oh, so that's fun.
Yeah. I like Punch Club because it is unabashedly just like full of references to other stuff. Like, for example, the computer is basically Shodan, but also the All Your Base face guy.
That's actually really fun.
There are there's like Ninja Turtles in the other one too. I remember that part.
Yeah, I remember it being very popular because of that reason.
There was a piece here where they're in the club. That's Go-Go Yubari from Kill Bill.
Just straight up got the whole thing.
Just hanging out in the background.
Some size back there too.
Yep. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I thought Punch Club 2. I didn't keep playing it. I need to go back maybe and play it again. But yep. Let's see. We got a trailer for the new character in that 2XKO Riot Games game called Braum.
Okay.
And he's like a big guy with a big shield, and he's got little monster pookies that hang around with him.
Oh, okay.
So he attacks with his shield. He's got a giant shield that he uses to like pummel people, but then like all of his special attacks and a lot of his like ranged combat and stuff looks like it comes through these little look like tiny yetis here that come out.
Oh, that's fun.
Down here. And so he can like throw them and do other stuff with them. I don't know. It's been a while since I asked. Are you any more excited about this? Or are you still kind of waiting to hear the feedback? Or?
I'm waiting to hear the feedback, especially because I still think of it as Project L.
Yeah,
and I'm never gonna let that go. As will most of the community.
I like the special attack where he throws the cookies and then a giant ball of these little weirdos come out and fucking.
That is a great special.
Like they kill the shit out of people. So yeah, I don't know. I like the art style. I like the art style quite a bit.
Yeah,
it's very crisp.
That is definitely one of the things that it has going for it.
Yeah, and the all the moves look like they're well executed for like a fighting game. So. Yeah. So finishing up, Satisfactory is getting is going out of early access and into 1.0, and they celebrated with a trailer. One of the things that you can apparently do in Satisfactory 1.0 is flush the toilets. And so the whole trailer for the 1.0 release is about a character who has to poop real bad, and they run towards like the building where the bathroom is, and then when they get in there, they run into the bathroom and you hear a toilet flush, and they announce that's where the 1.0 update is happening.
That's fun.
Have you ever gotten any of the factory building games? I don't think so.
No, because I don't have the patience for them.
Yeah. And then that's coming out September 10th. Is going into 1.0 finally. So
that's fun.
It's got a few other things that are coming out. I don't understand what they are, so I can't really explain them because I wasn't about to go down a satisfactory rabbit hole to explain them. So
would have been satisfactory.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VII Reunion is supposed to be hitting PlayStation Plus this month.
Oh.
In addition, this was a leak that said that for the PS Plus Extra beginning July 17th, we're going to be getting, which is the Final Fantasy VII Reunion, which is the Crisis Core remake, Remnant 2, Pathfinder, Mountain Blade 2, Bannerlord, No More Heroes 3, and then the No More Heroes Complete Edition, Travis Strikes Again. So there you go, Michael. Even though I know you already probably own those games.
I own them all on the Switch because you gave me one of them.
You own them on the Switch?
Yeah, I have them all on the Switch.
Oh, we can play them better resolution and better frame rate on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, but the reason I have them on there is for the motion control stuff. Because that's how I played them when they first came out.
Oh, there you go. Okay,
and that's what I did.
More people should play Crisis Core. Is all I'm going to say.
And more people should play the No More Heroes.
And more people should play Remnant 2. Actually, there's
pretty much all the games on there. So. All the games on there you should probably play at some point.
Yeah. Speaking of re-releasing stuff. Metal Gear Rising is on GOG now. It was not previously.
Okay.
And so people that want to buy it without like DRM or anything, they can now do that. But the big news here, sort of, is that GOG. Okay, Metal Gear Rising is not on Steam in Japan.
Really?
Yes. There's like licensing deals. So it's like it has to be on the PlayStation. So it's only on the PS3 in Japan because they never released a remaster, and it's not allowed on Steam in Japan. And so it came out on GOG, and it also came out on GOG in Japan for 2 hours. And then they fucking turned that shit off because it was not allowed to be on a store in Japan.
I did not know that.
Which seems like the weirdest. Like, of all the games that Konami could be releasing in Japan, I feel like Japanese audiences would love Metal Gear Rising.
I blame Senator Armstrong.
Yes. Well, the funny thing was
Nanomachine, son.
The funniest thing was that it released on GOG on July 4th. Oh. And I was
like... oh, my God.
So
I love everything about that.
Yeah, go watch Michael and I play all the way through Metal Gear Revengeance.
He made it the fuck up.
You know what? I played through Revengeance and had my redemption arc. When we get done with X-Men Origin Wolverine, I think you and I need to play through DMC. Because for years,
fine, we'll play DMC.
For
DMC
years
is the reason. Also, by the way, DMC is the reason I almost wasn't on RageSelect for a long time.
For years, I was talking shit about Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, and I finally made my peace with it. I think it's time for you and fucking Edgy Boy Dante to
if we
come
do that,
together.
If we do that, maybe should I have to play it then? If we do that,
maybe,
because that was the whole reason is that I didn't really finish the game.
Maybe
the funny thing is I meant to because I for some reason. Sometime last year, I was like, I'm gonna play every Devil May Cry.
Yeah,
and I played
even 2.
I played.
You mad man?
I did. I played all 5 of them, and then when I was done, I was like, and then I'm gonna go back. Then I'm gonna play DMC to see if my thoughts have changed on it.
Yeah,
but I never got around to it, and I bought it because it was on sale for like really cheap.
Yep.
And so it's just in my library. I've never touched it.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Maybe we'll do it. But if we do, I might have to be the one who plays it, or otherwise it kind of ruins the point.
No, it wouldn't be the first time. When John and I played Metal Gear Solid, he played it the entire time, and I sat there chewing my arms off until they were bloody stumps. So, yeah. Let's see. We got an announcement for the Disney Pixel RPG, which is going to be like a gotcha phone.
Oh, well, now you lost me.
Game with a really simple RPG system where you collect, like the little trailer for it has like 3 different Mickeys in different styles, so you're going to be getting different characters and stuff. I don't know, man. Like, I keep waiting for the day when somebody's going to put out a goddamn phone game that I don't hate, and I don't think this is going to be the one.
Well, the problem is they keep making phone games where I'm like, this is kind of fun, but then I hit the monetization wall that every fucking phone game hits.
Yep.
And then at that point, I just don't want to play them anymore.
Because you and I are both like grown-ups.
Yes.
And so they front load it with a lot of the game, the fun part. And then you come to a point where it's like, oh no, you're out of energy. If you keep playing, if you watch this ad or give us $5, and I'm just like, what if I uninstall you and get on with my life? Because I'm an adult.
What if I open up my Game Pass and play a game that's super free? That's way longer than this phone game.
I bought a game on the Steam sale last week for $4. Like, come on. I buy whole ass games for what you're asking of me.
Yeah, and like some of them are like the ones I play are like licensed ones sometimes. Like this Dragon Ball phone game's kind of fun.
Right.
And then it's like, now you gotta spend money. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna boot up Kakarot again. Fuck this shit.
Poor Matt Frank and the Godzilla phone games.
Oh, that poor bastard. That's all he's been getting.
Let's see. Speaking of pixel stuff, some crazy ass motherfucker is making a whole like expansion to Stardew Valley that just does nothing but add a little place where all the Baldur's Gate 3 cast is.
Oh my goodness.
As little, and then they've drawn like little pixel. Now, obviously, like the Stardew Valley version of a Baldur's Gate 3 person is like
a normal person.
Well,
because they can't like be vampires and shit. I assume.
Well, no. They just look like the. Let's see. They look like I have it up here. They just look like what Stardew Valley characters look like, right? They don't have. They're dressed normally.
Well, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, but then they've created these like lavish pixel portraits for all of them, and they're like writing all this custom dialogue and stuff.
That's the crazy thing about modders, man. They'll have an idea and they'll become obsessed with it, and they'll make the coolest shit ever.
And the mod team that was making it, they came out with a statement saying that they don't have a release date, but there's a high probability that the first part will be released this fall or winter. So if you're a fan of Stardew Valley and also thirsty for them Baldur's Gate motherfuckers, seems like a win-win. Yeah, they have Roland, a tiefling guy who's kind of like a bartender, and they have like their own little specific items that you're going to get in this area. I like to put Sven Vicky in there, like with his dumb look on his face.
Good for them.
So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. The Twitter account for this is Zunhe XUNHE 1145. Go check it out. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Cities Skylines 2 has some bad news, everybody.
Oh my goodness.
The console versions of that game have been delayed with not to a date, just kind of until we could get this fucking thing working, basically.
I forgot they were even supposed to come out on consoles.
Yep. They basically just put out a statement that I said basically too many times. They put out a statement that boils down to just saying the game isn't stable. We can't release it on consoles until it's stable. All of our efforts are into working to get the game into a stable state, so we cannot hit a release date for console.
How long has that game been out?
We tried to play it last year. Is that the one we tried to play? Or
it says launched last year on it. Yeah,
October 2023.
Damn, they still have not got that thing to work.
Yeah, I mean
teeth, Jeff. The teeth,
fucking teeth. Yeah. So, that's pretty much all there is to say about that. They expect to have a new release candidate that will go through a review in August. If that candidate works, then they might be able to start submission for the idea of making a console build. So,
I say good luck to them, but they have not had very good luck lately. So
quit putting these things out half baked. Like, don't I wish that they would learn the lesson of like when you're like, fuck it, we'll fix it in a patch. Like, no, delay it for 6 months and fix it first.
Yeah,
I'd rather have to wait to play video games than to play half-ass busted up video games.
There's the patch, and then there's your game just doesn't work.
Right. Also, your reputation has been completely and totally. Like, you spent years building City Skylines as a competitor to SimCity, and you just dash that goodwill within 6 months. So
you can't patch goodwill back in.
Yeah. Here's a weird story. So in 2002, a group of friends in Italy decided they wanted to make a Game Boy Advance game, and they did. They got together. Wow. They made this game called Kien. However, when they finished it, they found that, no company wants to like published a game that was made by like 3 kids.
Yeah, no, yeah. That's not really exactly things that normally happened.
Yep. But at this point, now the Game Boy Advance is long dead. There is an independent group that puts out. Let's see if I can find it. Here's the story. Incubate. Incube, and then the number 8, which is a publisher that like is focused on putting out like NES games or GBA games, like games on dead consoles, basically.
Yeah, like its description says, if you make it basically a new game for an old system, they will release it.
Yeah, and so they're putting it out, and you can buy it, a physical copy, or you can buy it on their website. I was really excited because I thought maybe we would play this game for the show, and then I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's a kind of a shovelware GBA action side-scrolling slasher kind of game.
Well, the more you look at it, the more you're like, I get why the company's like, no, get the fuck out of my office.
Right. I like, it was made by a bunch of kids, right? Like,
yeah, but it's also like really impressive. But I also would have not spent money on this,
right?
Even as a kid,
right? I wouldn't spend money on it now as an adult.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely not now, yes.
But it must be a kick for them because, like, apparently of the 3 friends, like, only one of them, like, kind of held onto the code and, like, held a torch.
Oh, okay.
And then kind of finally figured it out and got it on.
Good for him, though.
Online,
yeah, good for them.
Yep.
I can't be mad at them.
Yep.
I just hope that somebody likes it.
Sure. Of course, I don't know. Maybe you buy that and then it's like 20 years later, somebody wants to give you like $1.5 million for this like limited run.
That's true.
Somebody's homebrew, but the actual, not a ROM, but the actual cartridge. Or maybe they print 7 jillion of them and it's like ET. So,
yeah.
Let's see. Speaking of weird homebrew projects, somebody got Doom running in Fortnite.
How the hell does that work?
There's a guy called Jackson Clayton. So basically, I read the story on this. He took the Doom WAD and exported the map and then imported it into Unreal and then put it into Fortnite and the client and basically got it running. But the thing is, he said he had to do a little work on it because just dumping the map in, the Fortnite engine made it look way better. So you had to turn off like all the global lighting and like flatten down some textures and like
I kind of love that.
And he had to put this filter over it to make it pixelated because it came in as like just the individual textures. Yeah. And the end result is kind of funny, but the idea of like, yeah, Doom will run on anything, even Fortnite.
I love that. And what I love is that, like, to show it's in Fortnite, he keeps building shit as he walks around.
Yeah, he's in the first level, and then basically just brings up the build a house thing from Fortnite. So
I love that. Yeah. I love everything about that. But yeah, Doom can run on anything.
It certainly can. And last but not least, I feel like a lot of times, Michael, when we get to the fun part at the end nowadays, it's just Elden Ring bullshit. And guess what? It's still just Elden Ring bullshit.
Of course it is.
So first off, who is this Twitch streamer? There was a Twitch streamer named Miss Mikasa who finally beat the final boss of the Elden Ring DLC with a dance pad.
Oh my goodness.
The way that God intended. Now, what's funny about it is that like playing Elden Ring with a DDR pad isn't like actually dancing.
No.
It's like pressing certain buttons. But apparently she'd been doing this for like hours and hours and hours. And you do have to stand up and move your legs around.
Yeah.
I would have given up a long time ago.
Well, if I did this, I would have died pretty much immediately.
Yeah. Well, I think she also has a reputation. It's like last week we had the story about the guy with the saxophone.
Yeah.
That guy's beaten every single From Software game with the saxophone, and I'm pretty sure Miss Mikasa has done the same thing with a dance pad for all of them.
I feel like I've made this similar joke involving a dance pad, but it might have been something else.
I still haven't seen anybody beat the Elden Ring DLC with a Donkey Konga yet.
Not yet. I'm sure somebody's working on it right now.
She's so... it's funny. I watched this clip, and she's so excited because she gets to rest when she gets through the thing because she's been doing it for so long.
Her legs are probably like jelly by now.
Yeah. Okay, so there's that. I love this more than anything, Michael. So there is a move that you get in the DLC there's a whole martial arts. They're called the dry leaf arts. You get there's like a punch one, but then there's another one that's got like a kick version of it, and there's a special attack for the kick version that makes you do this kind of like in the air double kick. And this video came out, and this is on the channel Orezyn, Orezyn, of the people that made their name Let Us Duo Her. And it's a guy who's completely naked except for the wraps that give you the martial arts, and then like a crow mask. And so him and this other guy come in, and they go into the arena, and what they do is they run up to Melania and they start doing like trading off, doing flip kicks, and she can't move.
Oh my goodness.
She is completely stun locked. She is like cannot wind up to do a single thing. They've got bleed on the kicks, so they keep procking bleed on her.
They're just beating the shit
and
out
as
of her.
soon as she gets back up, they start over again, and they just like they've got the timing down so that as soon as one of them stops, the other one starts, and they just go back and forth. She does her second phase. They wait for her to get done with the big bloom, and then they run in, and guess what? Just fucking more kicks, bitch. Like you just there's nobody's going anywhere. I didn't hear no fucking bell.
My favorite is the visual of the second form getting just beat the fuck up.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Can't jump, can't fly, can't even like wind up to attack. Just no. Here's some more kicks. I got kicks for days.
It's like watching a Super Mario RPG where they just keep beating the shit out of the character.
Yeah, and it's no hit. None of them. They hit one time.
No, they didn't even attack. They did the one bloom, and they
just
holy shit.
Yeah, they just stun locked her to death.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Which, like, I had a conversation. I've had a conversation a few times where people are like, "Do you think that the bosses in the new Elden Ring DLC are too hard?" And I'm like, I think they're hard right now, but Melania was considered irresponsible, broken, frankly. I don't know how the fuck I'm supposed to do this. From Software is goddamn crazy. No one but challenge streamers could do it. Let's watch two fucking naked birds just spin kick that bitch over into oblivion.
That
like,
was amazing.
She didn't get a single attack off. So.
Holy shit. I hope they never try to patch that. That was so fucking funny.
And last but not least, when it comes to Elden Ring, somebody this is Stein's Altar on Twitter and on YouTube is tired of waiting for an animated thing, so they're making their own Elden Ring like animation adaptation.
No, that's fine.
And they put out like a little 30-second teaser that shows Malekith and Radagon and Moog and a few other people, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I can see like the fan madiness of it, but it looks really good for what they're doing.
Yeah, and why not? You know,
absolutely.
Give it a go. Like,
although the title screen looks like a Final Fantasy title.
So apparently they're going to be making it. It's going to be 5 minutes. They're shooting for about 5-minute animation.
That makes sense. Yeah, because they're like the thing about animation is it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, very time intensive.
So like 5 minutes is like takes way longer than it sounds.
Absolutely. That's it.
Yeah,
we're done.
We're done. We did it.
Yep. We went a little over, as we always tend to do.
Did we?
Yeah.
I guess we did.
Pretty much. Like about 5 minutes, maybe, more than we normally did. So let's not stand on ceremony. Michael, tell them where they can find you when you're not over here helping me watch all the Elden Ring cheesy videos.
You can find me on oneofus.net. We do a lot of movie, television reviews. The last review I did was for Inside Out 2, which was a good while back. But honestly, it was one of the funniest reviews I've done in a while.
There you go.
Because we really lost our shit.
Okay. Well, go check that out then. And you know, if you didn't understand anything that happened in the Last Descendant or Once Human references that we made, go watch those videos.
Yes, especially the Once Human ones. We had way more fun with that than we anticipated.
Very strange, very strange. I worry though about because I had to pick a plot of land in an MMO to build a thing, and I'm never logging back in. So I'm just like, it's just there forever. Anyway, if you got this far in the podcast, patreon.com/RageSelect. Remember that the Patreon also helps me to have the time to be able to do this. And I was talking to Michael about this last week. If you guys know of another fucking podcast that does a news roundup every week for 3 hours, let me know, because
so we can kill them.
Well, I don't know. So that one day when I get murdered by the wasp in my backyard, you guys have something to fall back on or whatever.
I thought you just want us to spin kick them to death.
Yeah, we're just gonna go over that. You and I aren't spin kicking shit, Michael. Okay,
that's fair. That's fair. Because we haven't got the timing down. That's
right. It's more the timing than the fact that I'm grossly out of shape at 46 years old. All right, that's it. Get the fuck out of here. See you next week. Bye.